Oh, yeah. Look who's here again. It's Ben and Woods, 97.3, The Fan. Let's get our heads right for what day is it today?
Thursday.
Today's a Thursday. Yeah. All right. The days are bleeding together. I am as dry as a skeleton's tank right now. I mean, my nose, my throat, I don't have an ounce of moisture in me or on me right now. We are live from the Peoria Sports Complex again out here for Padres spring training. What a day yesterday. Got to say, we were on a high. I was feeling so good after yesterday, and I hope it continues, man. We set the bar pretty high and want to keep it rolling today for you guys. We had such a great time. Listen, I'm Woodsy. That's Ben Higgins. He is your friendly neighborhood sports anchor.
And just here to keep in track of the days of the week.
Yes, thank you.
Us, yeah.
Thank you very much. And we've got Paulie Reindl. Paulie Reindl is the executive producer of the program. Good morning, Paulie.
Hey, how are you?
Doing great. We got our first bit of criticism here in the chat already this morning.
It's late.
It is late. Both Ben and Woods, you guys were so soft on Preller. Pivetta, the big signing, that's going to put the Pods back in the playoffs. Ha, 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 ha. You guys made Pivetta sound like it was a Soto signing. No, we didn't. Joe Musgrove, good morning, sir. Joe Musgrove absolutely killed it on the program yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Got a lot of rave reviews about Joe. Lots and lots.
You had all of San Diego ready to run through a wall.
All right, buddy. We appreciate it. Listen, I don't know, man. I like the Nick Pivetta signing. We needed a fourth starter. We got one. So
I don't know. Based on what I saw yesterday, I don't know if he's got.
We got story for you. We got stories out the yin yang for you, certainly. But it's great to be out here, man. Next Gym Breaks. Look, buddy, I'll try harder. I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm in a great mood. I was on a high. You came in. You urinated in my Cheerios. First thing out of the chute. It happens. Listen. We had a great time. We had a great time yesterday. We are positive people. Going to try to stay as positive as we can because, well, there's nothing to scream at yet. There's really nothing to scream at, you know? If you don't know Next Gen Breaks that A.J. Preller's hands were tied behind his back, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I don't know what to tell you. You're yelling at the wrong the messengers here. So it's not like he had an open checkbook and biffed on a bunch of guys. In fact, we actually heard through the grapevine yesterday of a couple of moves that were almost made that were pretty juicy. And like AJ said yesterday, things don't line up sometimes, and that's how it goes. So
we could have been a little harder on him about not landing Roki Sasaki,
ooh,
I guess.
You know what's funny is after we got done, I go, I forgot to ask him about Roki. But it'd be kind of like your buddy's wife leaves him, and you're like, so how's it going? I mean, really, I really kind of feel bad for the dude, all the work
it wasn't for a lack of effort to try to land him. So
exactly. And, you know that there was tomfoolery going on up the road. You know that. We all know it. You know, his ex-teammates even said it. But we had a great day, I think, on the show. After the show, we had a lot of fun, went back and watched some guys playing, and we got some great stories on that. But went and had lunch with our beloved Sammy Levitt. Then we great time as usual. Went home and got a little rest, and then from there we were getting ready. We were going to go have a dinner with the great Jesse Agler last night. And as we're getting ready, I'm kind of getting my clothes on. I hear the front door open, and I hear Paulie talking to a woman, and I go, Which one of you guys? What did you guys do?" Because I was unaware. I go, "Did you creeps? Did somebody what?" Who's knocking on the door? Did we piss a neighbor off? So what happened? So I go to the door, and there's a nice woman standing at the front door. And she goes, "Hi, are you guys renting this place?" We said, "Yeah, we're here for the next couple nights. We're, in town from San Diego doing a radio show." And she goes, "Oh, well, I've got it booked for today." And I said, "Oh, I'm very sorry to tell you, but we've had this booked for a couple of months." And
got here yesterday. We'll be here till Friday.
And she said, "No, I booked it yesterday. I know it was a late booking, but I booked it." I was like, "Lady, I don't know what to tell you. We got 2 cars in the driveway. I got clothes splayed out everywhere. We have food in the kitchen. We're not going anywhere."
Do you think she thought we were squatters?
Potentially.
Maybe.
I mean, in this part of town, you never know, dude. So then her husband walks around. He's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Hey, man, we had this thing booked. We're so sorry." And they had flown in from Chicago. And then I look in the street, and there's this big Suburban parked in the middle of the street. and this old man and this old lady are kind of staring at the door. And in my mind, I almost was like, hey, move along. This doesn't concern you. Like Nosy Parker, keep going, Karen. Don't worry about it. Well, it was their parents, and their 3-year-old was
hanging out of the window.
Yeah, their 3-year-old was in the car, too. They had just landed from Chicago. They had booked this place, and it was double booked. So we gave him the guy's number, and we said, so sorry for your troubles. You guys are more than welcome to stay here. We've got the 2 empty bunk beds if you want. That would be a little bit weird with an old couple, another couple, and their 3-year-old running around.
There's a lot of couches.
There's a lot of couches.
Yeah, we could have had a sitcom going.
So, yeah, I mean, that was an interesting part of the day. Then this morning we woke up.
You felt like we were in the right, though. I mean, we were there.
Yeah, we were already booked.
Yeah.
She booked yesterday on a third party.
She booked last week on a different website, like booking.com.
Booking.com.
And I guess when we booked, like you can book on multiple sites or host your place on multiple sites.
Sure.
And when we booked, it just didn't pull it from the other sites or something. I don't know how it happens. That's very bizarre.
But they were out of a place to stay. Dude, what a beating to fly all the way from Chicago. They flew into Mesa, he said. So they were driving for about an hour.
What a horrible choice that was.
Terrible choice. And they're driving in for like an hour.
Save $20 by flying.
And then they get there and their place is rented. Yeah, Dominic said, is this the beginning of Summer Rental? What a great John Candy movie that was. It's exactly what happened. So that was a little odd. So we get home from dinner. We had a great time with Jesse, man. Just a genuinely brilliant human being. We were talking over the incorporator for the upcoming season. I bought his dinner, so I told him, hey, that just bought me another year of the incorporator. He started laughing, and so we had a great time there. Came back, and I got into bed and was just watching a movie and whatever. I woke up this morning, and Paulie goes, hey, dude, did you hear the windstorm last night? And I said, no, not even a little. And Ben's like, no, I was up. I didn't hear it. Apparently, we had like 70-mile-an-hour winds out here. It ripped the cover off the hot tub in the backyard. There's palm tree fronds everywhere. So it was a bit dicey last night.
And it also sapped whatever remaining moisture there was in Arizona. It's now completely gone. I don't know if 0% humidity is like even physically possible.
We got it.
We are really close to the absolute rock bottom in humidity here.
But I wanted to send you guys to, listen to the rest of the segment and then go to youtube.com and search Ben and Woods Cribs, CRIBS. We did a Cribs video. Paulie produced it. It's effing brilliant. Paulie did it. We recorded it, and then I went in my room. Paulie finished it, and he sent it to me. And all he could hear for the next one was me just going, ha, 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 ha. He slayed this video. So if you haven't seen it yet, it's out on YouTube. It was great. Now, there's one part in it. I don't want to ruin it for those that haven't seen it yet. That concerned me and concerned a lot of people. And that was our beloved Ben Higgins. I got more text messages yesterday about the story we told at this time about our buddy Ben making the drive from San Diego by himself, listening to nothing in his car, looking at his map on his phone, listening to nothing, not even sports talk radio, not even the Golf Channel, nothing, just stone cold silence. I was getting texts from people saying, is he okay? And I said, I think so, but I'm not sure. But here's what Ben doesn't know. We're actually rolling tape in the car. We have audio of what went on the drive out here. Check it out.
Magoon, Wath. Brian Dutcher, Magoon, Wath. Dateland, date shake. What is a date? Dateland. Gila band. Gila band. Achoo. Bless you. Gesundheit. Height. Gesundheit.
Pretty similar.
I don't know.
I was gonna
James in the
say,
chat says this is not real.
This
LOL.
is the point where I'm supposed to get a little defensive and go, that didn't sound like me.
It's
That sounded
identical.
more like Woods. I can't totally deny that there's not some inner self monologue going on.
It's my favorite.
I'm driving in the car.
This dude will call out anything on the side of the road. He was calling out attorneys on the drive home when it was me and him. He's like, Jim Jackson, attorney at law.
In an accident.
Call now, 1-800-ATTORNEY.
Dentists in Los Algodones.
Yes, dude, that's the legitimate one that he was reading out, that he was reading on the drive out. So,
Have you ever laughed while driving at a billboard that says "Drive hammered, get nailed"?
I know I have. I absolutely have. It was and legitimately. I've got like 5 texts like, "Hey, dude, is he okay?" I go, I don't know. I really don't know if he's okay because you'd have to be a stone killer to drive 5 to 6 hours with no sound, nothing, not a thing playing in the car.
I found it peaceful. You like the desert? It's like when you go to Joshua Tree. I just don't get out of the car.
It's not like when I go to Joshua Tree.
Meditation.
No, I do not do any reflective meditation. I abuse myself when I go to Joshua Tree. Well, thank you guys for being here. Going to have some fun today, certainly. Crony just walked by and did the fake phone call because Xander did it yesterday, which was great. But we got, again, it's going to be fluid, right? We're gonna be kind of at their mercy of when guys show up.
We do have somewhat of an idea of at least who is scheduled to sort of stop by. I don't know. Do you want me to?
Well, things have changed in the last 5 minutes.
Paulie, give us the update during the break. We'll come back.
You ain't gonna like it.
We'll try to organize.
Oh, really? Great.
We'll try to organize our thoughts and get you ready for day 2 of Ben and Woods, live from Peoria, Arizona. Hello to Frank Marchese back in our Odyssey
there he
studios,
is.
doing a great job. It's not an easy thing to be left home when we're all out here having fun.
Yeah.
But Frank's doing a great job as well. We'll get some traffic with Kelly Danick, and then Ben and Woods, day 2 from Padres spring training underway on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Woods, I think you said it well. Going to be hard to top yesterday. It
Yeah.
really was one of our best days ever.
Ever.
In several years we've been coming out to spring training. We had great guests. It was just kind of one after another. Really good conversations. But we're hoping to have at least somewhat of an equally good show today as we talk to more Padres guests. It's a little more up in the air in terms of arrival times. We've heard Connor Joe should be coming in the next hour or so and stopping by our table. I'm looking forward to meeting Connor. You've met him before.
Yeah.
But I've never met him before, and I'm looking forward to chatting with one of the newest Padres and obviously someone a San Diego local from Poway.
I had to hit BP in front of him. You want to talk about nerve-wracking, watching those guys hit BP, and then you get in and you have to take hacks too. It's mortifying. I mean, it's like Freddie Couples and you are hitting next to each other at the range. You know, it's not. It wasn't fun.
It's worse because at the range, you're at least you're hitting. You're doing your own thing. And
everyone's
BP,
watching you.
You're the focus of attention. You're the star of the show.
I talked to a couple of buddies that played in the high minors, Double A, and they said I'll ask them every detail. They said day one of your first day as a professional baseball player, day one's batting cage session, maybe the worst day of your life. You're like soiling yourself, and you're thinking, I've played this game since I was 5 years old. I know how to hit, and you get in that box, and everyone's just staring at you. So, who's this kid that we just drafted or whatever?
Now they're paying you
to do it. And they say, dude, you're lucky to get one out of the infield. You take your 4 or 5 swings, and they just said, and then by the afternoon when you go hit, you feel a little bit better. He said, but day one walking to the cage, you feel like you're going to vomit.
So we were watching some of the work yesterday here at the Peoria Sports Complex. And it wasn't a cage session. It was actually like a live BP effort with Nick Pivetta, new Padres pitcher on the mound, facing a group. He was kind of doing an up-down couple of innings that included Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yes.
And it was one of the more interesting. Both sides got a little bit over on the other one, but it was definitely an intriguing, field at bat out there.
I can run through it for you guys really quick. This was pretty fun. And Tati's coming back. It's his first swings, I think, since he came back from having a pretty gnarly flu. And he gets in the box. Pivetta is throwing, and I believe it was Elias Diaz catching. And so the catcher's going to call balls and strikes. So he goes high fastball. Fernando swings through it. He goes slider on the corner, strike 2. Then he goes slider away, strike 3. But the catcher didn't call it. Tati didn't call it. Nick Pivetta called it. He looked at Tatis and put the hand out like strike 3.
Like follow through, and hit him with
the strike 3. And there's probably, I don't think they're going to sit there and argue about it. But Tati kind of looks at him, shakes his head, and walks off. Next guy comes up. He does his thing. So get back around to Tati again. Same thing. Fastball. Takes it. Strike 1. Pivetta spikes a curveball into the dirt. And Tati looks at him and goes, and puts his finger out like strike 2. You going to call that one too? It was unbelievable. You could see Pivetta was like pissed. So he snatches the ball back. He gets he gets on the mound and he goes up in the zone again. Tatis hits it, 450 feet dead center.
They were chirping at each other.
They were chirping. Yes, it was great.
Tati was like, "Oh, is that a strike?" And then Pivetta started yelling at him, and then Tati started screaming back at him. And the next pitch, I don't think it's landed yet.
Dude, it was tattooed to dead center field over the batter's eye.
That's when Tatis goes kind of a little more cool. It just goes cool and just kind of
walks back to the dugout. Oh my God, it was so good, man. But it
was one of the coolest things I've ever seen on the
bro. You're not kidding. You are not kidding, Paulie. We've seen some of my favorite moments, man. One of the first years we came out watching Manny do the play. It's just his signature play, the backhand where he runs past the bag and throws it to first. We got to watch him do that probably 15 times in a row. Just the long looper that he throws over there. And that was a pretty cool moment. But yesterday, watching those guys chirp and then watching Tati just take him out.
And if you're worried about, hey, is this a dysfunctional team?
No.
This is not this is not what that story is meant to
It was
indicate.
a simulated game, essentially.
You know,
Yeah,
Nick
you want
Pivetta
to.
was in the zone.
They're competitive people, in competition at that moment. They're not teammates at that moment.
Correct.
They're on opposing sides at that moment, and things get a little intense. Now, we've heard from Nick Pivetta, about Nick Pivetta. He's a guy you don't like to face. He's emotional. He's intense on the mound. You saw that with the Boston Red Sox, and you saw a little bit of it come out on the backfield yesterday, just in the heat of competition against Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yeah, and it's not that it's not like Tatis is not a massive competitor as well. So it was really, really cool to see. A really fun moment.
I mean, he's been out, a week?
Yeah.
Maybe more?
Yeah.
Like, there's no way. He obviously felt good enough to play yesterday, but he wasn't 100%.
No.
We all know that flu-y feeling. Even if you're a couple days out of it, like, it doesn't feel great. And for him to stroll up there, take about 7 swings, or see about 7 pitches before he hits one, 450 over deep left center was just incredible.
Over the batter's eye.
It was amazing. It was tattooed.
It was smoked.
I couldn't hit a golf ball that far. It was.
Can you imagine that achy flu feeling, and you just feel crank one 400 feet?
You just feel like death. You can't get your legs under you, all that. But it was. And it's the first live pitching you've seen. It's Nick Pivetta who's throwing really well, and he's out there competing too. You can't get better. You can't get better if you're taking plays off. If you're Nick Pivetta, you need to go after guys like Fernando Tatis Jr. You're going to be facing guys of his caliber all season. So I loved it, man. It was a really cool moment. Watched a little of the Deutschland game. They had the German national team out here.
They arrived just as our show was wrapping up yesterday.
Yeah, really nice guys too, and watched them take the field against some of the Padres prospects, and saw Cash Mayfield, Boston Bateman, guys like that.
Cash Mayfield's their first round draft pick from last year. Big left-hander. He looked nasty on the mound.
He looked fantastic, man. All over, like just commanded the zone. Breaking pitch was sharp. Good fastball. K'd up a couple guys. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
I don't know, how good any of the hitters on Germany were, but I liked seeing Cash Mayfield. He got ahead in the count while we were watching him. Then would try to, nibble off the zone, see if he could get some chase. If he didn't, he came right back in the zone. Got a couple of strikeouts, some weak contact. It was an impressive performance for one of the Padres minor leaguers. Yeah,
it was really cool. And and then after that, it was getting toasty out there. We went to grab lunch with our beloved Sammy. I did get chewed out by an elderly lady for my language, so that was fun. I've had a great trip. I've got a
Don't get on the wrong side of the retirees in Arizona. They're a powerful lobby.
They really are.
Yeah,
they really are. I mean,
she was like leaving, and she just leaned over my shoulder and kind of was like looking at the table. And you guys should really watch your mouths. Kind of sounds like Adam.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that's your Adam. You just did your Adam.
It was female Adam.
Yeah,
old female Adam. The F-bombs were a little much.
It really was just Woods.
I'm a grown man. Sorry. Like
there were no children around.
There's no. Bro, there was
nobody under
70
in a mall. I mean, they could have been walking by. It's possible.
How about this? I got an idea for you. Why don't you mind your business? How about that? Why don't you mind your business?
We'll tell Sam Levitt to watch his mouth.
Yeah, poor Sam. He's like, geez, dude. Junior said you guys were asked not to go crazy. Yeah, exactly. We got chewed out by an elderly woman yesterday. So,
all right, let's take a time out. We could be getting some guests here. I don't want to make any promises that we can't deliver on.
Why would you? It is a ghost town right now. I've never seen it this day.
There's a couple people here, and we've been told by PR they're going to work on getting maybe one of them out here. So we'll just cross our fingers. And when we come back, or we can give you an update on yesterday's Cactus League game. Is it bad that we didn't make the drive down?
No.
Sometimes I feel guilty, but we didn't actually go to the game yesterday. It was down at Camelback Ranch. Padres did win, though, and
according to Jesse, nobody else went either.
That's true. That's a good point. We got a full update from Jesse Agler at dinner on the game, so we can talk about it at least. Coming back live from the Peoria Sports Complex, it is Ben and Woods. Padres spring training on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This is brought to you by Robert Half. 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is there to help. They're recruiting professionals utilizing award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talents today.
All right.
Yeah, I just saw a door open. We saw Connor Joe came in during our break, said he'd be back out in a little while. I don't know exactly the definition of a little while, but we should have one of the newest Padres joining us fairly shortly, so stay tuned for that. As I mentioned, we didn't go to the game yesterday. The Padres did beat the Chicago White Sox 3-1 down at Camelback Ranch. Another well-pitched game for a slew of Padres, including Ryan Bergert, who was the guy that Mike Schilt chose to start the first Cactus League game last Friday and came back with 2 scoreless innings, 2 strikeouts. I don't think he allowed any base runners. And has had a very solid first couple of outings of the spring. Had the debut of Jason Adam yesterday. He pitched the 3rd inning, scoreless inning for Jason Adam. Wandy Peralta and Alec Jacob also with scoreless innings of relief for the Padres in the 3-1 win. And the aforementioned Connor Joe had his first hit of the spring, went 1 for 3 with a run scored. And while he is, I think, 1 for 7, he has a 500 on base percentage.
Why do we like him?
Walked. Gets on base.
Because he gets on base.
Gets on base. 3 walks, a hit by pitch as well. So he's been getting on base for the San Diego Padres. That's kind of going to be his job, I would think. I saw a piece this morning in ESPN, and I didn't realize this, but that the Padres are projected to walk less than any other team in baseball this year. And when I thought about it, they didn't walk a ton last year.
Where did they? I wonder where they finished.
I don't know exactly where, but it was near the bottom. And that's a function of the fact that they make a lot of contact. They hit for high average. But the 2 guys in the lineup who did walk at least a considerable amount were Jurickson Profar and Ha-Seong Kim.
Yep.
They were kind of the 2 best walkers, and they're both gone. So you replace those guys, you're going to need a couple of guys at least to, work some counts and get on base without having to get a base hit. And Connor Joe could be one of those guys for the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely important, making contact's great. Making weak contact is not great. But again, like you said, the Padres hit for a high average last year. I think that's going to be their approach moving forward.
Now, conversely, in the same piece, the Padres are projected to have the highest adjusted average and the fewest strikeouts.
That's right.
In baseball as well. Those are 2 really, really good things, but they do come at the cost of not walking as much as other teams.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a weird thing to predict right now today.
I mean, it's not a prediction. It's just a statistical projection based on.
Isn't a projection a prediction?
I would say that the 2 things are a little bit different. A projection doesn't have any opinion about it. I think a prediction involves some opinion.
Okay.
Like, hey, this guy, has done this before. I think he's poised for a breakout season this year. That would be a prediction.
Feels like it would also be a projection.
A projection is simply a statistical model that they put in the numbers based on what they've done in the past and then what they are projected to do this year. And then they add it all up. And some teams will, have more walks. Some will have less walks. And the Padres are predicted to walk less than or projected to walk less than any other team.
Now I've got you all spun out about it. So, it's tough. The White Sox, they had actually more hits or more errors than hits yesterday. Will Venable is going to have his hands full with that team this season, certainly. But, always nice to get a dub.
Yeah, Luis Campusano made his spring debut, got a hit in the game as well. Forrest Wall, I don't know much about Forrest Wall. He's an outfielder, went 2 for 2. With a home run, and we saw another really nice at-bat from Leodalis DeVries.
Yep.
Just like the day before when he fell behind 0-2, worked the count full and hit a double. Did the same thing, 0-2, got back to the full count, and then got a single up the middle yesterday against the White Sox in that game. Padres will continue their Cactus League schedule this afternoon. They got the longest road trip, I believe, that they make, and that is to face the A's down at Hohokam in Mesa, which is the Cubs' old facility. That's all the way on the other side of town, about an hour away. So they'll be hopping in the buses here in 3 or 4 hours and making that drive, at least the players who are required to.
Yes. Different rules for different players, which is fine, makes sense. Connor, we're ready for you if you're ready for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, yeah, he's here.
Connor's here, so well, he's got a busy day to get to. I don't know if he has to go all the way. Since he played yesterday, maybe he doesn't have to make the trip all the way down to Hohokam.
Well, lucky for us, we can ask him right now. The great Connor Joe joins the program. Good morning, my friend. It's good to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
There you go. Welcome.
Thanks.
So how's the first couple of weeks been as a member of the San Diego Padres?
It's been great. Getting in this clubhouse, getting to know the guys, getting acclimated with the staff and familiar with them. It's always kind of a learning curve, learning their style and how they provide information and whatnot. So that's been good, getting settled in here, and it's good to be back on the field and just play baseball.
You get nervous with a new team. You've been with new teams before. You get nervous. Like, is it nerves? Is it excitement? What is it? A combo of both? What is it?
I think excitement, right? Like, I don't think it's really nerves. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's just 40 guys, right? Like, I've walked into plenty of new clubhouses. I've done it essentially my whole career. I've had, a couple times where I've walked back into the same clubhouse, which is also great for familiarity, and have made great relationships with guys on the Rockies and the Pirates. So to go back is really nice. But no, I think playing against these guys and having familiarity with them helped a lot. At the end of the day, it's just a bunch of dudes, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Just play baseball,
Yeah,
which you've been doing your whole life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Connor, obviously you grew up in Poway, and we're a Padres fan. I understand growing up, but when you become a professional, I think it's hard for fans to understand. You have to give up all of that. When you're on a team, that's your team.
Yeah.
But now that you're back, is it more than just okay, it's just my next stop on my professional career? Is there still something there in terms of like that memory of your childhood?
Of course. Yeah. I don't think you lose that, right?
Okay.
Like, obviously I was drafted by the Pirates in 2014, and growing up a Padres fan my whole life, like, I'm not a Padres fan at that point.
Right.
Right? Like,
You want to beat the Padres.
yeah. And then becoming a big leaguer I was Giants. I made my debut in San Diego playing against the Padres, playing with the Rockies against the Padres, what is it, 15, 16 times. Obviously I'm not a fan of the Padres. Like,
Right.
I want to beat them. Like, it's my job to beat them or driving the run. So, but coming back is special. And like, yeah, it is very cool. It's not just a stop on my journey. It's always going to be a time where I look back and remember, like, I was able to go back home and play for the Padres, who I was a fan of my whole life. So it is special for me. And to be here in camp, with the Padres, throwing on the jersey every day is amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Talking to Connor Joe here on Ben and Woods this morning. Had a chance to meet Connor years ago. We have a mutual friend, actually. Your agent's son is a guy I know, and one of my best friends, and got to go out and work out with Connor. And it's the worst. I mean, if you're like me,
Not you, Connor.
not
Yeah.
you, like having to like hit and like field in front of them. I was playing first. They were taking grounders and slinging them over there, and I was like, God, this is a different level, man. But you have had a health scare. You're a cancer survivor, and how are you feeling now? Is everything kind of out of the woods completely? How did that go, and what was that like?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. No. I love talking about it. No, I really do. I truly do. I think it's something that should be talked about and awareness about. But I'm healthy, and this is a big year for me because in July 20th, I will be deemed cancer-free for 5 years, which they call remission. So
Amazing.
It's a big year for me. So far, so good with all the scans and the checkups. Obviously, like every year around that time of the scans, you get like something called scanxiety, which is very common for cancer survivors and people that go through that. But big year for me. I'm healthy and everything is really good.
And one child now?
Yes,
One.
I have a 2-year-old daughter.
2-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
That's right. And more. Are you guys planning on trying to have more?
Yeah, God willing, we are. Absolutely.
Yeah, two is fun. Two
Yeah.
is fun.
Yeah.
It's in theory, it's fun. And then you see it in action, and sometimes it's not as fun.
We both
as
have
you-
two.
Yeah, it's not as fun as in action. But no, man, I've obviously followed your journey since. I'm so happy to hear that. That thing. It was testicular cancer.
Yes, it was testicular cancer. It had spread up to my lungs, and that's why it was diagnosed as stage 3. I had to go through chemo, and the whole process took about 4 months, but had great care and great help from doctors up at UCLA, and healthy now.
How much did the diagnosis upend your life? I mean, I'm sure it was a huge amount, but how did you deal with that being such a young age and right at the beginning of your professional baseball career?
Yeah, I think it just rearranged my priorities.
That's what I was going to ask. Perspective.
I think at that time felt like the worst thing that could ever happen to me in my life, right? And it most likely was. But looking back on the journey and looking back at everything that had happened, it really is one of the most powerful things that has happened to me, to my relationships with my wife, my parents, the support and the love around me. It's just really aligned my priorities and made me realize that like baseball is amazing and it's something that I get to do. And it's not something that is given, but the game was taken away from me. So now stepping onto the field, I'm grateful every time I take the field. I'm grateful every time we have to do PFPs or base running drills that sometimes felt monotonous before, having the game taken away from me. So looking back on it, helped me grow stronger with my wife, helped me grow stronger in my faith. So it's really something that I am grateful for and grateful that I went through.
Well, and now you join this team, and this team is expected to win, and that's, nothing against Pittsburgh. They're a team that I've actually followed for a couple of years that have some really good players. I mean, obviously Paul Skeens and Jared Jones and some really, really big arms. And now you're in with you were with the Rookie of the Year last year. You're in with the Rookie of the Year runner-up in Jackson Merrill. But this team is different, right? Is there more? Do you feel the expectations are raised now that you're in San Diego?
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, nothing against my previous clubs. But I think the one thing that I've been telling people coming into this clubhouse, there's one common goal between every single person in that club, and that's to win a World Series, right? Previous clubs around younger guys, maybe some guys were on board with making the playoffs. Maybe some guys were just wanted to break camp and debut for the first time. Not here. I think the very common goal in there is that World Series, and that's very apparent. And yeah, like you said, with the Pirates, very talented. We experienced great streaks of baseball where we're very successful and we experience winning, but I'm really excited to come here to a competitive team and where it's not just the playoffs, but it's above that. And the goal is the World Series, which is really cool.
Talking to Padres outfielder, infielder,
everything,
hitter,
utility,
whatever they need. And before you sat down, we were discussing this Padres team is a very specific identity, especially under Mike Schild and Victor Rodriguez, of a team makes a lot of contact, hits for a high average, but doesn't walk a lot. Now, that's something that in your career you have done. You've gotten on base. What's your approach kind of at the plate, and are you making any changes as you're working with this coaching staff here with the Padres?
Yeah, every time you go into an offseason, you really dissect the season before, what could be better, what do I need to improve on? And for me personally, I believe that to get the ball in the air a little bit more, I hit a lot of ground balls, which is not a bad thing, but in the big leagues are normally outs, right? Obviously at Petco Park, the field's a little different where it's a fast infield. I believe those are going to be more hits, but in general, like an overall approach for me, I've always had a good awareness of the strike zone. I've worked a little bit in the offseason to get in my legs and to use my motor a little bit more to help impact the baseball more consistently. I think as far as talking to Victor, talking to the staff, just kind of making little adjustments based on the feedback we're getting from the games, right? Like off season, you in the cage a lot, you're hitting machine, you're block training, but we're not facing live pitching. Yeah. So to get that feedback from the game, whether you're a tick late or tick under the baseball, to make minor adjustments based on that. And that's what I'm doing with the staff, day-to-day basis.
And people always are interested in this. And I am, I think, to a certain extent, but it's not my job to have to go out and hit big league pitching. But, you'll hear people say, oh man, this team does it right with the way they have information and deliver information to you. I guess in comparison to other teams you've been on, how do the Padres rank for you?
Yeah, you know what? We haven't really dove into the weeds too much about the information just yet. I think they've kind of let me get my feet wet at camp and get immersed and get my body moving before.
Yeah, which is probably smart.
Yeah. I
actually, Day one, they're tracking everything you do.
Right. They're not, just throwing all this information at me. I do have a meeting with them today about some stuff that they're seeing, which is great. I'm really excited about that. But I think that's the right timing. I think, let me get some at bats under my belt and make like little adjustments on my own, and then hear what they have to say. So if we're having this interview tomorrow, maybe I'd have a little bit more information on that, but unfortunately we're not. So that's what I can say about that right now.
Last thing for me, obviously you played yesterday against the White Sox, and there'll be Cactus League games, but I like the inter squad competition. And
So good.
Obviously the Padres have some big name pitchers. Who have you kind of gone up against on some of these backfields so far, and what stood out for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the one that sticks out, obviously, ton of great arms in this camp. Matt Waldron faced him early in camp, and
God.
I had heard about it from guys around the league, and unfortunately, or actually fortunately, we've never faced him in the big leagues.
Yeah.
But getting to see him was pretty cool, and I'm glad he's on my team. That's what I'll say about
Pretty
that.
nasty, huh?
Yeah. I think when me as a batter and the catcher both whiff on the same pitch, I think that just goes to show, how nasty the pitches are. Yeah.
Well, Connor, it is a pleasure to get to know you.
Yeah.
Good luck this season with the San Diego Padres, and thanks for sitting down with us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. That was fun.
Don't let everybody from your hometown wear you out for tickets. Send them to your agent.
Yeah,
Send
yeah.
them to your agent.
Ask
Send
Joe
them to your
Musgrove how
agent's
he
son.
deals with that. Yeah.
My agent will take care of everybody. Yeah.
Exactly.
Connor, Joe, we're going to check traffic, and then we'll wrap up our first hour of Ben and Woods here on 97.3 The Fan. Don't go away. All right, we still have, let's see, we just heard Jackson Merrill is going to be coming out in our next hour, probably in about 20, 25 minutes, so definitely stay tuned for that coming up in our 7 a.m. hour back in San Diego, 8 a.m. hour coming up here Mountain Time in Peoria. But that was fun to get to talk to Connor, and
Great dude.
glad he's found his way back home to San Diego and getting a chance to play for his team.
Yeah, me too. It kind of made me nervous. He was like, "Oh, thanks for bringing that up." I didn't know if he was being
I
sarcastic.
thought he
or
was
not.
serious. I had the same thought for a second.
It made my stomach drop.
But he wasn't joking.
He was not joking.
It's obviously it's that lesson. Go see your doctor.
Yeah,
get checked up, no matter what your age is. He was, and I think in his early 20s,
Yeah.
and not only testicular cancer, but as he said, it already spread to his lungs, and that could have gone either way. But best wishes to him as he approaches that 5-year mark. And that scan where you're fully in remission, which is amazing.
Tough to not root for a guy like that, man. Really, really tough.
All right, we'll come back. As I said, Jackson Merrill going to be joining us in our second hour of the program as we continue. Ben and Woods, live from Padres spring training in Peoria, Arizona, on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Hour number 2, it's Ben and Woods. The sun is shining brightly now here at the Peoria Sports Complex. It's not warm yet, but it got pretty warm yesterday. Definitely into the 80s.
No, it was higher now.
Even if, possibly into the 90s.
Yeah.
It's been a warm trip. Why are you staring at my face?
Just looking at something.
Is the dryness giving me?
No,
like,
you missed
do I
the
have a
spot with your razor. Yeah.
No. I did that I did that pretty quickly yesterday. Yeah. I don't know,
You got more hair on your face than I thought you did.
when you travel, you don't have your normal mirror and
Yeah,
setup.
it's true.
And
I get it.
everything.
You don't have to tell me, baby.
Where did I miss a spot?
Just up by your.
Under they are right
it's
there.
hard to get up there.
Yeah. Well, thank you for noticing.
I just
really
jumped
do
out at me.
I
I'm
do
sorry.
really appreciate.
I'm sure
that.
you won't be self-conscious about it.
Now I'm totally self-conscious.
Probably tell
about it.
all the players that come out to point at Ben's top of his lip.
Rub his.
Hey, buddy, you okay?
The next one who will be coming out is scheduled to be Jackson Merrill. I think that'll be in our next segment coming up here in 15 to 20 minutes. Looking forward to chatting with Jackson as he starts season number 2. Remember when we sat down with Jackson Merrill last year?
I do.
At this time. It was, it was a totally different tenor of conversation. We weren't sure if he was going to make the team, what kind of role he might have with the San Diego Padres. And I don't think either one of us, or honestly, anyone here or in baseball, had any idea of the kind of contributions he would be making for the San Diego Padres in 2024.
Yeah, you certainly hoped on it, and you dreamed on it, and
I really didn't. I was thinking, my hopes and
my
dreams
hopes was
were
that he would just
were-
not be
we're
bad
actually
in center field.
We're actually well below what reality turned out to be. How often does that happen where your best hopes are far exceeded by a player?
Rarely. Just rarely.
How many home runs did he finish with last season?
20 plus.
Yeah, I would have been 8. I would have been through the moon. 8, 8 home runs. What a great rookie season that was.
Yeah.
No, he exceeded every expectation, both on the field and I would say off the field as well.
No
question. With his just attitude, his energy, and the impact that he had on the clubhouse as well. It's just incredible.
I give him a ton of credit for that. I give him a ton of credit for
24
that.
Dons.
24 Dons. Yeah, amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah, impact player. No, there's no other way to describe it. He was an impact player.
Yep.
In ways that
Clutch.
rookies almost never ever are.
Clutch as somebody could be. Just a guy that you wanted up. It was a delight to watch him last year, and it'll be a delight to watch him play baseball for the Padres, hopefully till the end of his career.
So looking forward to chatting with Jackson Merrill coming up. Woke up this morning to a somewhat shocking story from the world of Hollywood. I'm sure some other people are seeing it now, but the passing of Gene Hackman, which isn't the shocking part. He was well into his 90s, but obviously a beloved actor. But the way it happened, that
I thought it was fake.
His wife.
When I saw it, I didn't see it from a very reputable, it wasn't like TMZ or CNN or anything like that. It was just some account on Instagram as I'm kind of still waking up, and I go, "What the hell? What kind of weird joke is this?"
I saw it at 1:30 in the morning. I woke up this morning, grabbed my phone like an idiot, and looked at my phone and saw that, and then I put the movie The Firm on and fell back to sleep because he's great in The Firm. Avery. He was great. One of my favorite American actors of all time. His IMDb is insane when you start going through. It's just banger after banger after banger.
Yeah, he and his wife living in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I guess a neighbor had been worried, hadn't heard from him in a couple of days, and had them do a welfare check and found dead. He, his wife, and the dog that was there all found dead. Now the story says that they are not looking into any foul play. They don't think so. Speculation.
Well, I sure hope not, man.
Something like a carbon monoxide leak or something like that, I guess might make sense in a case like this. But it was pretty shocking because Gene Hackman has certainly been in one of your favorite movies. It's almost whatever your particular preference of movies are. Gene Hackman was in one that you love, whether it's Hoosiers or
French Connection.
Crimson Tide. Oh,
God,
Denzel.
Great.
That was a good one.
The Firm. He was incredible in that. He's
Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah,
if you're
Royal
a little more
Tenenbaums.
on the quirky side.
Yep, he was brilliant and could really do all of it on the silver screen. And did kind of march to the beat of his own drum. Certainly did his own thing, and it was a tremendous loss. But like you said, 95 years old. it was to be expected. But the weird part, his wife and dog as well. Just a really sad story and a really sad way to go out for Gene Hackman and his family.
Awful,
terrible. You know how we do it on this show,
Yes,
though.
that's if we could, Frankie,
if we could.
Shout out to his family.
There you go.
Huh?
The condensed version, the abridged version. That's
fine.
all right.
But yeah, just it's hard to even go through how many movies you've probably seen in your life that star Gene Hackman. Hoosiers is considered, many people, it's their favorite sports movie of all time.
It's up there, man. I haven't seen it in so many years, but what a brilliant movie that is. The great Dennis Hopper as well. But yeah, just a really it was a bummer to wake up to this morning, and went back to sleep and woke up this morning and rechecked it again just to make sure. And yeah, that's in fact what happened.
Let's see, a little baseball talk here. Did you see the story with the New York Yankees this week? Obviously, last week we were talking about the change of their facial hair policy. This week's Yankees-related policy story was the fact that they are no longer going to play New York after losses. I didn't realize that they did it every single game.
I didn't either, actually. I didn't know they did it after even losses. It's a jovial song for a loss, in my opinion. It
certainly is. It goes back, obviously, I don't know how long they've been doing it, but I certainly remember from the Derek Jeter, World Series. Yeah. They win the World Series, they're at Yankee Stadium, and start spreading the news.
Seems to make sense.
It starts blaring out over the speakers.
If you lose a game, let's not start spreading the news.
So,
you know what I mean?
But so they've decided then to now switch it up. So if they lose, they're going to have other songs, including That's Life.
They should play the David Lee Roth version of That's Life. No, I look, they're doing weird stuff right now. It's nice to see them. It's nice to see, the facial hair policy. I thought it was time for it to go. This one, it doesn't really move me very much at all. You guys do what you want. Padres need to have we fixed are we fixed now? Like we know kind of what we do post game with a win.
Is there a standard?
Is there a fixed? Yeah, I mean Jesse Agler's here. He just gave me the I don't know. What's the fixed? Yeah, Jesse's got his headphones on. He doesn't know. I don't know. Does there have to be?
There doesn't have to be.
Can
but
you let them?
You can't just be silence at the end of a game either. So.
Thank you for coming. Please drive safely as you exit the ballpark. What is it?
I'm trying to think. I don't remember what they don't. Do they have a signature?
Let's be honest. I stayed for an entire game one time last year, and it was Robert Suarez gave up a walk-off not a walk-off, but a grand slam, and we lost that game. So you don't want me there. I'm bad luck past the sixth.
It is interesting the concept of having a losing. So I feel like I remember in the past, like some teams, maybe even the Padres would play Closing Time by, is it Semisonic?
Semisonic.
As like a losing song.
That's a losing song?
It's kind of a set, like, you're done, it's over. Let's just slowly trudge out of the ballpark after a lost song.
Jeff says it's the graphic on the Jumbotron, and that's about it. Yeah. If they lose, I guess.
Yeah, they play the Mission Bells.
The Mission Bells, yeah.
Huh.
I don't know. You guys figure it out. I have no idea.
I think the Yankees are making some changes.
Yeah. Changing it up. I'm sure it'll help.
No doubt about
the facial hair and now the songs. Yeah. There are some Yankee fans. I don't know how much of a percentage of the fan base, but there's a small percentage that are losing their minds right now.
The most interesting part about the facial hair thing was what their captain, Aaron Judge, said. I thought, and he's like, actually, I'm not growing a beard. I like the policy. And if that policy would keep somebody away from here, we don't want them anyway, which I thought was really interesting because you've got a couple of new guys that are like super excited about it. Devin Williams being one of them. I found that a little bit. I love Aaron Judge. I do. I found it a little eye-washy. Like, you don't have to be eye-washy. They changed the policy. They didn't come to you for the ultimate answer.
Now, it's interesting when you say that because you certainly don't want to shorten your market for any free agents.
Correct.
With an unneeded policy that's potentially costing you players.
But it would be weird to go somewhere that you – like, I'm not going to go play for the New York Yankees because I can't grow a beard. That would be a weird –
It would – certainly if they were making the highest offer and you were like,
nah,
you know what?
I'll go to Pittsburgh.
I know they want to pay me the most, but I can't have a beard. I think I'm going to go somewhere else. That would be a strange decision.
It is.
The vast majority of baseball players, though, don't get to decide – where they're playing.
That's true.
Free agency is only for the, top of the line guys who've been in the league for a while, contract expires, most guys are either drafted or traded or claimed off of waivers. That's how they end up in organizations. So when you go to the New York Yankees, it's more of the luck of the draw rather than you're making a conscious decision to play for the New York Yankees, as is true with any organization.
Adams says the Yankees, when they lose, play the Liza Minnelli version of New York, New York. And when they win, they play Frank Sinatra. So there you go. It's weird to me. The words are the same.
Is that true?
That's what he said. I have no idea. Again, I don't know what they do with Petco either. I'm never there that late.
They did bro him. I don't know if they still do that.
I don't think they do. I don't think they do bro him anymore. Sounded pretty good.
Blink-182's kind of been a
they do that in like the 8th inning, maybe the 7th.
They haven't made that like the final out Padres win song.
All right. It doesn't affect me. Like
it's important to some people.
I know it is.
It's important, part of their viewing experience.
I feel like you're
games.
focusing on the wrong things, though. Let's take a break because is Jackson coming up next?
Yeah, I think
We
so.
still got a
All right.
couple minutes.
Yeah, well, we'll be ready to go when he comes out.
Yeah.
So, we're going to have Jackson Merrill. They're getting a little bit of a later start here this morning today.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been a little quieter
Ghost
today
town.
than it was yesterday here around the Peoria Sports Complex. But like we said, they've got the game against the A's in Mesa coming up later. So there will be players who are filing in at some point. They're going to have to get on a bus and make that drive down there. So we'll check traffic. We'll come back in a little bit, and Jackson Merrill scheduled to join us in just a couple of minutes here with Ben Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Coming here, welcome back. It is Ben and Woods live from the Peoria Sports Complex. And just as we return from break, sitting down with us, getting ready for his second season with the San Diego Padres as a big leaguer, Jackson Merrill. Jackson, we were just talking about last year we sat down with you at this time, and so much was unknown. Didn't even know if you're going to make the team at that point. You didn't know what position he was going to play or anything. Talk about the differences between last spring training and this spring training, at least in your mind, if there is any.
For me, no, I treat it the same. Got to make the team. Got to break the team. Got to prove to them that I'm worthy of having the center field job. But also, it is a little more relaxed. You know, for me, not knowing what position I was playing last year to this year, I know what I'm doing. So, yeah, it's a little more relaxed, a little more tranquil than last year.
How was the off season for you? I talked to you at fantasy camp briefly, and you said you were really, really bored and you were ready to get back to it. Like your first off season after playing a lot of games, more baseball probably than you'd ever played in your life. What was your decompression time as opposed to your, all right, it's time to start running and lifting and hitting and all that again?
Yeah, so usually I get back to it pretty fast, but this year was different. This year I took a month to just kind of chill. You know, I'd never played that many games before, never been on my feet so consistently like that. So I just kind of took a month to chill, and then after that it was go time. So like I got my running in, lifts in as much as I possibly could. I went home back to Baltimore for a month, so it's obviously really cold outside. You don't really get to go outside that much, but for the most part I was here too. I've been here for 3 months now, so you know I'm really looking forward to getting these games going. Enjoyed my first 3, so I'm excited to keep going.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty remarkable how well you managed out in center field last year, considering it was a brand new position that you hadn't even been asked to play until spring training had already started. Where do you think you are now in terms of that development as an outfielder out in center field, and where do you think you can kind of take your game to defensively?
No, still learning a lot. But I think I've done a really good job to learn fast.
Yeah.
I feel like I pick up things kind of quick, and I just want to keep going. You know, do as much defense as possible, as much reads as possible, just get better in any way possible. If you were watching yesterday, apologize for the.
It was like one little.
Yeah, I've never even done that before. Like
pop out and recatch it.
Literally never had that happen before in the infield or anywhere. I've always just caught it straight to the glove, and I looked it all the way in. It just popped out. So, you know, I went home and I put a little softball in my glove and wrapped it up so the pocket's bigger now, so it doesn't pop out anymore. But I was like, oh,
you know what? I wouldn't have lost any sleep about it if I were you, man. I mean, the way that you played last year, I know that you had done an interview earlier in spring training talking about, you know, yeah, I mean, you're working the walls a little bit better, getting up, maybe robbing a couple. That's always a fun feeling for a center fielder to do. Who have you kind of leaned on? You know, on the team and maybe even around the league of guys that you've talked to that have kind of helped you with the position, because it's essentially the same view-ish as shortstop, but it's certainly different, man. When that ball, these guys hit it really, really hard. I don't know if you know, you're one of them, and it's spinning and it's knuckling and things like that. Have you leaned on some current big leaguers or ex-big leaguers?
To be honest with you, I've kind of always, in my baseball career, even in the minors, no one really has come to me and like tried to force me to learn stuff and controlled me of how I'm learning and adjusting stuff. They've always kind of just thrown it at me and let me see how I handle it.
Yeah.
It's always kind of just panned out. So when I got told to go to center, I didn't ask questions. I didn't say anything. I went to center and I started to learn as fast as possible. And obviously there's stuff about like positioning and certain like counts. What should I do in certain counts? Like 2 strikes, you should move it, because, you know, if 2 strikes, you're trying to shorten up and get a base hit rather than swing big. But other than that, no. Like I have been mainly just going at it on my own, you know, and being athletic and having fun. Like I said last year a lot. It's just that's all I was trying to do out there, is be athletic. Go catch the ball. If it's in the air, go catch it.
Is it a thing for you where you don't want to overthink? You don't want to get too much information. You don't want to get, you know, I don't want to hear how this guy does it, because then I might change the way I do it.
Yeah, exactly. No, like I think just there's a different way about everybody playing center field.
Yeah.
You know, you see Jacob Young, you see Brenton Doyle, Gold Glove for Doyle this year. Like, you know, they just play it a different way. They also play in different stadiums too, so it's harder to ask them like, what they do, because like Colorado, the ball flies, you know, and then the Nats Park, it's a big park and it's a little different. The air is different than Petco. Like Petco, the ball gets hung up, so it's kind of easier to get underneath the balls and catch balls.
Makes sense.
Jackson Merrill is with us, and you know, communication is obviously big in the outfield as well. You don't want to run into each other. You got Fernando now, a full season, has been next to you, but in left field, some new faces this year. What's been your interaction with You got some veterans like Jason Hayward, Connor Joe's been out there. Got some younger guys. Eggy's played out there. We've seen Tirso Ornelas out there. I'm sure you played with some of these guys in the minor leagues before, but what have you seen from some of the left field candidates so far?
All of them are great. All of them got the ability to play in the big leagues. It's just a matter of which one's going to get the most playing time. And then I really like all the guys. Hayward, Sheets, and even Forrest Wall yesterday. Forrest Wall had an unreal game. Slept on. Single, gets a second, steals third. Obviously doesn't score, but then comes back later.
Home run. It's a bomb.
Good home run. He's here to play, and I think that's how everybody here that's what they're here to do. Everybody's here to play and compete for a job. So
you play your first season, finish runner-up for Rookie of the Year, and I know again you said I don't care. I want to win a World Series. Getting as close as you did in your first year, you hear stories like this in baseball a lot. Like you make it your first year, and you make it pretty far in the playoffs. Didn't end the way that you wanted to, and there's been a rash of players that say, I thought it was going to happen every single year. For you, have you thought about that, right? And how the season ended, and how long did that kind of take you to get over?
Once the season ended, it obviously sucked in the moment, but for me personally, I'm a guy that kind of gets over things faster than people. So when it ended, yeah, it sucks, and I'm going to be absolutely bored out of my mind for a week after that.
Did you watch much after?
Yeah, I watched it. I'm a baseball guy, so
that's fair.
I'm watching everything. But to be honest, it was in the past. That year's over. It's over with. You can't change it. There's nothing you can do. They beat us. That's what happened. So all you got to do is look forward to this year and look forward to what you can do in this season.
There's a phrase that people sometimes use for second-year players. I don't even want to
say it. Do not say it.
I think you know what I've.
What
it is. Is there? I'm not worried about you at all. I've seen you play and how you bring it. I have no concerns about that. But is that something the team will address or anything like that? Or is there any truth to that in anyone's mind on a baseball field?
No, okay. Not at all. I mean, there was a time in the minors for a month that I struggled and it sucked, but I figured out a way to get out of it and figure out a way to mentally get through it. And I just it's baseball.
Yeah.
You're gonna suck at some points. You're going to. It's a part of it. But it's just how you can adjust and get out of those slumps. Last year, I was in slumps for weeks at a time, but it was I found it and I was out of it. And then I give a month rather than week good, week bad, week good, week bad.
We had Luis Ariz sitting down here yesterday. No one's better with the bat than he is, and he said something that I thought about all day. He said, "Baseball is really hard. Hitting is really hard. It's not impossible, but it's really
team meeting.
Really hard."
Did he?
Yeah, we were having a team hitting meeting. He's like, "I love hitting. I love hitting. I love hitting. But hitting is hard, but it's not impossible." I'm like, so what are you trying to say here? He's like, hitting is hard, not for me, but hitting is hard. Thanks, guy. I also see he wrote 3-time batting champ underneath his signature on here.
Yeah, he did.
Wow. That boy Louis. What a guy.
So I'm not the only one that made an impression on apparently.
That was great. It was great. He's I love the thing I like about this team, and I think most teams need to be constructed this way. You can't have 9 guys in the lineup to swing the exact same. It's got to be different looks and got to be different ways to beat you. And when you look at the way the Padres lineup is constructed, they've moved you up a little bit in some spring training games. Is that something that you feel, number one, excited about, something that you want to happen? I know a lot of fans, it's every fan's dream to make out the lineup card. And boy, Schulte sure loves it when we give him our suggestions. He's a big fan of it. So, we all play that game in the offseason of, all right, coming into this year, you go Rise at the top, maybe Toddy, then maybe Merrill in the 3. Is that something for you, moving up from 7 to 3, or do you care at all?
I really don't care where I'm at in the lineup. Obviously, I didn't care last year. I started at 9-hole, moved up 8, 7, kind of just moved up a spot at a time until I got to 5th and just kind of stayed there. But if I move to the 3-hole, yeah, good, great. If not, then I got to do my job in the 5 of protecting somebody, In the 3-hole, you're protected. So, I got to walk. I got to, take more pitches and see more pitches, try to get a better pitch to hit every A-B. But in the 5-hole, if I don't have as much protection, then I'm the one protecting Manny and Bogey.
Yeah.
So it really just depends on wherever they want to put me, wherever they think is best fit for the team.
You also get up more, though, when you're higher in the lineup.
Yeah, for sure. More RBI opportunities, too. It kind of being at the 9-hole for the beginning of the year, it obviously took away a little bit of that. But, you make do with what you have. You can't complain about where you're at in the lineup if you're in the lineup.
Now, for you, we are, the media experts, and I use finger quotes, and I say that with my tongue firmly planted in my cheek. About midway through the season, we're looking at Jackson, and we're talking about, man, what's the ceiling for this guy, this season? I don't know. I mean, it'd be great if he hit 10, 12, double-digit home runs would be rad, and you go out and you throw 24 home runs up, and I know you didn't really change your approach at all. When you look at hitting 24 homers as a rookie, is it something you look at and go, yeah, I want to get 30, or do you just continue to try to hit the ball hard, good things will happen?
Yeah, try to hit doubles more than homers.
Yeah.
Because doubles are really important.
They're great.
It keeps the rally going. Homers are good, and they're obviously better than doubles, but
Sure.
they don't come by as much. If you try to hit doubles, line drives, you're gonna make out and hit a couple more homers than you think you are. But hitting more homers than I did last year comes with strength and age. I'm only 21 still. I still have time to just kind of fill out, and I haven't yet. I don't really feel like I've gotten that older man strength in my body yet. So kind of just waiting for it to come. A lot of flyouts that were deep to the warning track last year. So if I can get a little bit more extra strength just by age, just by naturally putting on weight, those are going to go. And then it makes it into 30, like you said.
Yeah. Last thing for me, Jackson, we talked a little bit about yesterday. It was written up in the paper about last Monday when you guys played and you were done after 4 innings, but you stuck around. The veterans, they usually leave and you see them all carrying their bags and coming back here, but you stuck around with the other guys all the way through 9 innings. I don't know why it made such an impression on all of us as fans. I know you weren't doing it for eyewash or show or anything, but what's your rationale behind that? Just sitting there.
Certain games, there's certain games where, one, you have to read your body, but two, my boys are in there that I've played with in the minors when I was coming up, so it's cool to get that opportunity to watch them. But also you can learn a few things if you just are chilling watching the game. If you're just locked into a game, you're better at counts. It's crazy, Freddie. It's crazy, Freddie. It's crazy.
Did he give it a little extra juice as he was driving by? I feel like he did.
He put it in gear.
Yeah, he did.
I don't even remember what I was saying.
Talking about being locked in, watching the game, being locked in with your boys.
So it's a good opportunity, especially when you go through a whole season. You don't even get to see some of those guys for the whole year. The 2 guys I live with right now, I didn't even get to see the entire season last year. So for me, it's just a better opportunity. It's just a good opportunity to see some more baseball.
Yeah, I love it.
Jackson, really appreciate it. Obviously, you're number 2. We're looking really forward to seeing you back at Petco Park in a few weeks, but thanks for sitting down with us.
Of course. Yeah.
There is Jackson Merrill, San Diego Padres center fielder, and certainly took San Diego by storm last year in 2024. We're going to take a little time out. We will come back, reset things for you here from the Peoria Sports Complex. More of Ben and Woods live from Padres spring training in Peoria on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3. Rolling on here at Padres Spring Training in Peoria, Arizona. Our thanks to Jackson Merrill, who just sat down with us, and still to come on the program. Here's at least the schedule that's been laid out for us. Coming up in just a few minutes, Michael King is going to be sitting down with us as he gets ready for his second season with the San Diego Padres. And got to figure one of the top Cy Young Award candidates in the National League. I think he finished 8th in the voting last year, 7th or 8th. Dylan Cease was 4th in the voting. Now he's got a full year of starting under his belt. I'll be interested to ask Michael King, just like, what's your mindset in terms of how much usage? They were a little careful with him on the innings as he was being converted from part-time starter, part-time reliever to full-time starter last year. Maybe a little bit more, handcuffs off a little bit for Michael King in the second season from the very beginning. By the end, he was pitching, as much as they needed him to. And then in our next hour, Manny Machado is going to make his annual visit to the Ben & Woods program, we're told.
It's the earliest he's ever jumped on with us. He has been Friday. Manny pushes it off to the
How long
very
you guys did? Third Friday? All right, I'll get you down.
Friday.
Manny sets his own schedule when it comes to the Ben & Woods program, which is fine by us. But interestingly enough, he won't even be the most veteran presence in that hour of the program, because following Manny, we're expected to be joined by Jason Hayward, new member of the San Diego Padres as well. So we got a real vet-heavy hour coming up in hour number 3, our 8 o'clock hour back home.
Love talking to the savvy veterans, man.
It hasn't been a ton of news this camp for the San Diego Padres, which I think is probably a good thing.
It's a good thing.
I think it's a difficult thing for people like AJ Cassavell who are trying to write about the team, and there's just not a ton of drama. We know what the competitions are, 5th starter spot, and you only can write so much about, Stephen Kolek looked good and Ryan Bergert looked good yesterday.
Really like Ned.
No one's really
Rodriguez.
No one's separating themselves. No one's playing themselves out of the race. Matt Waldron will get a chance today. He looked, pretty good. Randy Vasquez looked pretty good. I would imagine that everyone's still very much alive and in the mix. Same thing with the left field. There's been a lot of guys who've had some good hits in, spring training games. So you write about those. But in terms of, other big questions hanging over the team, hasn't been a lot of them this spring.
It's been pleasantly boring. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's been a lot of the guys have spoken about it too, how weird it's been out here with, we got trips to Korea. We got all this. It's different. This has been just kind of your run-of-the-mill standard spring training. You got a couple of spots open, which is not uncommon at all for a Major League Baseball team, Ben, and we'll see who wins those spots. And we saddle up and ride on March 27th against the Atlanta Braves. So, I think it was probably needed. After the last few off seasons, they needed a bit of a vanilla spring training.
Now, AJ Preller can,
he can turn that on a dime.
Change things in an instant. We talked to him yesterday. Didn't get the sense that anything was absolutely imminent with the San Diego Padres, but you never do when it comes to AJ.
Yep.
And he's still fielding calls, and he's talking almost every day. Every time I see him, floppy hat, cell phone, stuck to his ear.
Yep.
Don't ever know who he's talking to, but I can always imagine it's some other GM somewhere else, just touching base on everything that's going on, because that's what he does constantly. But so far, it's been the biggest story has been, a couple guys down with the flu.
Right.
It's not a story. Just, they're sick. They're coming back.
Yeah.
That's about it. It's been
pretty great, actually.
Pretty drama-free and long, too, because we're so used to, as you mentioned, with the Korea trip, with the lockout, with the pandemic. There's been so many short spring trainings where it's been, you got to go real fast and get your pitchers revved up in time. We haven't seen any of the top 4 starters even pitch in a Cactus League game yet.
Yeah.
And I believe I was reading AJ. He thinks Dylan Cease seems to be first in line, based on the work to get that first start. Does that mean he's your opening day starter? Will it be Yu Darvish again, who's done it, I think, 3 times before? If he does it once more, he'll set the franchise record for most opening day starts. Could it be Michael King, our next guest, who's coming up in a couple of minutes? Certainly, in terms of stuff, he certainly should be in the mix for Padres opening day starter. But that's after opening day. You know how much opening day starter matters? Not at all.
Not at all.
It's just a rotation of your guys who are going every 5th day at that point. So it's a nice little honor. But again, not really a big story because there aren't any huge stories right now coming out of Peoria.
Yeah, and again, it's a good thing. I think it's ultimately a good thing. Their routine, they can get settled in their routine, and I think you've heard that from every player that has sat down talking about the routine and how important it is, especially Luis Ariz. Connor Joe mentioned it this morning. They all want to get in their routine, and this is a routine spring training. And now your hope is you just get through it without any major injury, anything like that, Benny. And you go into the season with a full complement of players, and the guys have won their spots, and we ride and see what happens.
All right, don't forget, coming up at 9 o'clock this morning in San Diego, we will have another name for you in our biggest fan contest. It is your chance to qualify for a night in our Odyssey Suite at an upcoming Padres game. Just register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest-fan, and then listen 3 times a day, 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 5:30 p.m. as we continue our contest. I think there's another week or two that we're going to be giving out names before the final grand prize drawing. So it's not too late to register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest-fan. 973thefansd.com/biggest-fan. Now that's it.
I'm going to let you figure it out.
Into the contest.
All
right, let's check traffic, and then maybe on the other side, hopefully Michael King coming out of the Padres clubhouse and joining us here in Peoria on 97.3 The Fan. I actually slept pretty well last night. I got to bed much earlier. I didn't stay up for a late San Diego State basketball game.
What time is early for you? About 11:30?
I was asleep by like 10:15 or so last night.
That is
which is early for me.
I was asleep by about 9.
Were you? Well,
yeah,
because I didn't see you. I got back from dinner and you guys had already retired to your rooms and were completely asleep. So yeah, I got some good rest last night. I know our next guest was down for a couple of days. It's the flu bug that kind of has hit a few guys, but he looks healthy now. He's back, and he is joining us here.
Michael King, was it the flu that got you, or was it just the Arizona wind and air?
I don't think it was the Arizona wind and air. I was shivering for like 36 hours with like a hoodie and sweatshirt. It wasn't fun.
But my God.
We're good.
Everything's good now.
Yeah, I got a little congestion, but you can probably hear it. So maybe work some magic on the sound bites there. Make me sound a little cooler.
Paulie is the wizard.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to work the magic for us yet.
No, not yet, but it's fine. It's fine, man. It's good to see you again. Last year sitting down with you, getting to know you a little bit. Man, what a season for you. I mean, it was a delight to watch, and we've been talking about it all off season, and it's like when Michael King is on, he is the nastiest pitcher in baseball, dude, and it was a lot of fun to watch last year. We all expected, really good things. Were you? I don't want to ask if you were surprised by how good your season went, but were you?
I guess I can't say I was surprised. Obviously, I try to put all the work in that I can
100%.
do, and I set hefty goals for myself every year. So I actually came up short of my 180 inning goal in the regular season, and then I wanted to get to 200.
That was a crazy goal.
Playoffs. Come on now. So now it's a 200 inning goal in the regular season. So I'm still trying to get to those levels. I had a great support staff with the other starters around me. Ruben was obviously great for me. Higgy was awesome for me coming in. So I had a lot of guys that kind of molded me into what I did last year.
How different though now? Because last year when we talked to you, you were introducing yourself to a new team, wanted to prove yourself as a full-time starter. It's very different this year around. They're expecting you to be part of that starting rotation, and obviously those goals are now more realistic coming back. So how different is this spring for you?
Definitely a little, just because I feel like I feel like I have a spot on the team. I feel like I can assume more of a leadership role. We have that fifth spot open, and a lot of guys that are, one, similar to me, but two, are guys that are in my in the same category as me, like Stephen Kolek, coming from a relief role. I know Brito is kind of in that same position where he was a reliever for us last year. So there are guys that are making that transition that I did last year. So I'm trying to just be a guidance for them and see how good our fifth spot can be this year.
You know, we were obviously, I think everybody was kind of wringing their hands in the off season, with the potential of you going into ARB. And I saw you on a podcast. I can't remember whose podcast it was. Kluber. And Kluber was asking you about the process, and I thought you handled it really well. I mean, you're like, yeah, this could happen, and we were kind of kicking around. What might one say to a Michael King in arbitration? Like, you're too good, and your hair is too good, and his teeth are too white, and he is.
Tyler, shut up over there.
You're too much of a bulldog.
Too much
on
of
the
the community
mound.
with his foundation. It's really kind of annoying, actually.
Yeah. Yes, we need a little bit more dirt. Get your uniform a little more dirty.
Stuff's a little too nasty, actually.
But I thought your
making the other players look bad.
You guys are making me feel good.
I thought your perspective of when you said, "Look, this is the way it is," because they will use, or they will at least the thread in there will be, well, we converted you. We kind of don't know, I mean, I think that you've proven that, and they know that, and you ended up avoiding it anyway. But how what's that process like for you? You're like, all right, I may have to go sit in a room with this. It can't be fun.
Yeah, that was a conversation I had with my agent, because there are obviously the players that have okay years and they can just rip you apart for how bad your season was. And he was like, you won't be sitting in that room and getting ripped apart by whoever it is, the Padres.
I don't know. They've never done it under AJ.
So under AJ. So I don't think they know who it would be.
And so what he thought their main argument was going to be is just because I was coming from a lower salary. I was coming from a reliever salary.
Right.
And so that's partially why I was so stern on the number that I wanted to get to,
setting lofty goals.
But it's also just like, you want to break the system a little bit for the next reliever turn starter.
Sure.
And it's like, relievers get paid less than starters. It's a fact. And I didn't want to then continue to get screwed by getting paid like a reliever the whole time because I started as a reliever. So the argument was like, he already got screwed once for being paid like a reliever. Don't let it happen again, and let him get paid like a starter.
Yeah.
So kind of the principle of the matter. Interesting. We're talking to Michael King, Padres, definitely starting pitcher here.
Starting pitcher. Whoa.
On 97th Street. Everybody. Is there anything you're working on changing in terms of repertoire, or is it simply just refining what worked so well for you last year?
Honestly, it's still refining. I added that fifth pitch in like the little gyro slider I had last year. Didn't throw it very often, so I want to throw that a little bit more, but I also want to – my main thing is I feel like with both fastballs, I can command the fastball in 4 quadrants. With the slider, sweeper, and changeup, I really only have like the strike pitch and the 2-strike pitch. I want to be able to throw the changeup to both sides of the plate. I want to be able to throw the sweeper actually elevated a little bit, and for swing and miss away off the plate. I want to be able to throw it into lefties, away to lefties. There's so many different things that I need to feel comfortable with before I can add another pitch. And I felt like the little gyro slider was big for me, just to steal some weird strikes or get soft contact. And now it's really just refining the command of all those pitches.
Do you, with a guy, and again, I would watch your 2-seam and I just go, my God, there's nobody's coming close to this thing. It was a marvel. That game you threw against the Dodgers, it was just like it was a work of art. It really was. I think about it all the time. And do you chase velo? Are you in the off season, like, I would love to add a tick here and there. I'm going to get in my legs more, whatever it may be, strengthen my core and try to get an extra tick on the fastball.
I think everybody would like to have an extra tick.
Sure.
I don't know if there's anybody out there that wants to lose velo or are we good? Sorry. But my main thing with my fastball velocity is to make sure that I have enough. I know I'm not going to be that Dylan Cease throwing 100 in the seventh inning, freaking nut. But if I have the mid 90s fastball, but can still keep the movement of it, and then use that to have my other pitchers get some deception, then it's fine. So my thing is actually more just a mechanical thing. I need to have that late hand speed. I need to hide the ball. I need to command it and get into my front hip. And those things, I know when they're there, the velocity will be mid 90s. And I know that as of now, I'll knock on wood, it's helped me through it's serviced me.
Michael, I wanted to ask you about one of your new teammates, Nick Pivetta, who I assume you saw in the AL East when he was pitching for Boston a few times. He's only been here a little bit of time, but what are your first impressions? I know he's supposedly kind of an intense competitor out there. What have you seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, obviously playing against him, you see that. There's been a lot of the position players on the team that I was on say they hate facing him just because he's that like ultra competitor. He's the one that's grunting on a changeup. He's the one that's like strutting around the mound. I call it like prime Scherzer, which Scherzer's on like his 20K games. He's like strutting around the mound like he's about to. It's like a feral beast,
like a madman,
And it was kind of funny because yesterday he threw a live BP.
We were there,
right there.
We saw it,
and
they were chirping. It was Tim and Toddy, and they were chirping. It was unbelievable. It was
fun.
It was like theater.
Joe said, and I totally agree with him, he can't wait for a start day because he wants to drink like 3 Red Bulls and get on the same wavelength as him and be like strutting around with Pivetta.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's a fun start day now for a guy like that.
And we talked to Joe Musgrove yesterday. We're talking to Michael King right now, and we were asking Joe too about the losing Higgy. I mean, we loved Higgy. He was the best. This is a great dude, a great human being, and a great catcher, and had a monster year.
Yep.
Contributed a ton for you. So now you're going to have to work with other catchers as well. Do you think about that a lot, or do you say, hey man, this is what it is, and we got to get on the same page. We got to do it quick.
Definitely the latter. Obviously, Higgy was great. I was in a locker room with him, I think, for 8 straight years, which is kind of fun. And he's such a great dude. You know him, so he's great to have in the locker room. He definitely missed. But, I mean, I worked with Campy last year. I actually don't think I worked with Diaz in a game last year. He caught a couple bullpens of mine. Sully, I worked with a bunch. So it's like I already have a decent rapport with them. But I also think that a guy like Higgy, how he commands a staff trickles down to the next guys.
Sure.
I thought it was huge for even like an Ethan Salas to see how he worked, because Salas is coming soon, and it's like you have this veteran guy that knows how to handle a staff, that can call a game, that can separate offense and defense and go out there and have an awesome season. So I think a lot of those guys probably learned from a guy like Higgy, and I just can't wait to work with them.
Did any of them learn how to play The Trooper by Iron Maiden? Because that's what I'm going to miss the most about Higgy, is talking guitars with him in the clubhouse. Like me and him he's the only big leaguer I've ever met that likes heavy metal like I do. Literally the only one. Everybody else likes country or rap or whatever. Yep. And that's why I fell in love with the dude, because I love heavy metal too. And he's a guitar player, and nobody else. Who's going to shred in the clubhouse this year? Quiet. It's just gonna be quiet.
It's gonna be quiet. It's gonna be dead silent.
Dead silent.
Oh man.
Last thing for me, Michael, and this is probably the tough one at the end. Last year of arbitration.
Oh boy.
Obviously, we don't know what happens after 2025.
We would like to offer you a contract right now.
Well,
for Better Woods, and
I mean, if we could, you start the foundation. You're putting some roots down in San Diego. We'd love to see you stay.
That's our pitch.
You had to be a little bit flexible, even to get the 1-year arbitration deal done. We saw some of the funny things that had to do with that contract. We don't know what the Padres in terms of financially, but have there been any talks, any discussion about anything long term yet?
There has not been anything.
Nothing yet.
No. Obviously, I love San Diego. Team's great, front office is great, but
sounds good. He's back. Anything. He's coming back. That's it. He said it right here.
Well, all we can hope is that the price tag keeps going up and up and up this year. As this Michael King has another
that's what he wants.
Fantastic season. So make it hurt.
Yeah,
right. Exactly.
Thank you. And if I don't get a contract, I'll just come work for you guys.
That's fine.
Fair enough.
For us, man.
Thanks so much. Good luck. Anything new on the foundation? I keep seeing your posts. You guys are doing a lot of good work.
The Padres have been great. We're now in heavy discussions. I think we finalized today, but I don't want to say it, for our foundation event this year.
Okay.
We're also going to do a little something at the ballpark, so it's going to be a great season.
We will stay tuned for that. Thank you, Michael. Good to see you again.
Thanks,
as always. Michael King, Padres starting pitcher, joining us. We'll take a break for the top of the hour. Again, coming up in hour number 3, Manny Machado is scheduled to come out, Jason Hayward as well. So another good show is materializing here right in front of our eyes from the Peoria Sports Complex. Better Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
We are halfway home on a Thursday. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. The sun is out in Peoria, and the wind is whipping a little bit. See some guys making their way out to the cages. Saw Tyler Wade walking out. He's in the lineup today. Benny's got the lineup for you. But, man, we're having a blast out here. Talked to Jackson Merrill, Connor Joe, and Michael King so far this morning. Manny still to come. Jason Hayward still to come as well. Very excited, man. It was yesterday was like, I think we had like 8 interviews by this time. It was a little bit crazy. Today's been a little bit slower, but the quality of the guys in this clubhouse, you just can't say enough good things about them. And, of course, you sit here, Benny, and you brought it up. You sit here and go, you can't let any of these guys leave. I mean, you can't let Luis Arise walk. You can't let Michael King walk. You can't let Dylan Cease walk. It makes you sick. You want to be able to keep every single human being that you've talked to since they've been here.
Yeah, the reality is there's probably no way they can keep all of them going forward. There's going to be some tough choices that have to be made over the next 9 months or so, in season, after the season, whenever it comes. There's some difficult decisions ahead for AJ Preller. And, hopefully they're difficult decisions because all of those guys have really good seasons, which is going to make it even harder, of course, to keep all of them and make you want to keep them all even more. It's that double-edged sword of, you want your guys to play better and better, but that also makes them more and more expensive and more difficult to keep.
Well, honestly, and it sounds a little bit cold to say, but the only way it makes it a little bit easier is if you go out and win a World Series. And even then, it's not easy because you want to, you get the taste of the first one. You definitely want to do it again. But, you go out and win a World Series, then it makes it easy. It made it easier for the Texas Rangers to do it a couple of years ago. Dodgers won the World Series and then spent like an extra $1 billion. So they went the other way. But you know what I mean? You go out and win a World Series this year is really the only way. It's not going to sting drastically, losing some of these not only quality baseball players, but quality human beings as well. I'm Woodsy. That's Benny. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, and Paulie Reindl, the executive producer of the program, has absolutely crushed it. Probably because you have the master bedroom. That's my guess. This has been.
Have I not crushed it?
That's what I was going to say. I don't want you to think that you haven't crushed it. You've double crushed it, and I think it's probably because Ben and I were so generous that we gave up the master bedroom.
So I got there.
He's in the lap of luxury.
I got there first.
He did.
And I didn't just go claim it.
You should have.
I know there's that.
We would have.
I would have.
I feel I had that thought. I got there and I go, if Woods and Paul had gotten here, they would have stuck me with the worst room,
the barracks room,
and I wouldn't have had a choice in the matter. But I'm going to be a little more diplomatic, and I'm not going to claim any of the rooms. I'm going to leave my stuff out in the living room and wait until they get there, and then we can discuss like adult human beings who should be in each of the bedrooms at our Airbnb.
Can I say that if I'm being honest, it was I wish that you had just claimed it. It would have made it much easier because then we were all standing around looking at each other with that awkward I don't really care where I stay.
I'm glad Paulie got it this trip.
I've never had to share a bathroom.
I think he's done. Yeah, we were sharing the
Ben,
small bathroom.
Ben and I are sharing a Jack and Jill.
The smart thing to do would be, okay, Paulie gets a big bedroom, but we can share. Someone has to share the bathroom with him because it's like 14 times bigger than our bathroom, which is kind of silly to have one person in the gigantic bathroom and the 2 other people in the little tiny bathroom. But it's actually, I thought it was kind of our least. That's probably the best Airbnb we've had.
Yeah, no question.
So far. And we had no issues until you told the story at the beginning of the show. Yesterday afternoon, a family shows up to move in. They had booked it and apparently unaware that we have already claimed the Airbnb for the next couple of days and had it on the books for months. So, I guess possession is 9/10 of the law there. We didn't get kicked out, fortunately.
Luckily.
That would have been difficult.
Luckily, we had it booked for a while. And again, it probably, they booked it through a third party and it just didn't aggregate in time. And they booked it recently. I thought about that family this morning as I woke up. I hope they found some lodging somewhere nearby. There were 4 adults and a little 3-year-old girl. And they needed some lodging, so hopefully they found some.
I wonder if they were here for spring training to.
I don't know
for their team.
So they're from Chicago,
so probably
maybe
come see the Cubs or something.
Probably.
Anyway, I'm still more of the hotel person. You guys, though, always like to do the vacation rentals, and I get it. We can all be together, and it usually saves a little bit of money.
Well, Paulie and I can be together. Paulie and I get
for these trips.
Yeah.
I think for the one thing I do like though is not having to worry about some of the responsibilities that you have at home. Like you left the dryer on. You did. I turned it off before we left. It was beeping.
Whoops.
So, but I don't plan on doing any laundry when I'm on a trip. I'm not going to do the things that you like to get away from some of those things. Like I don't have to go get the mail at the Airbnb.
Well, I don't do my own laundry at home. My wife won't let me. So I actually
You're just excited about the opportunity to do your own laundry?
Doing a little bit of laundry.
I've started to hate the process of having to get my mail every day. Is that weird?
Yeah.
No, it's not, because all you get now, when you were a kid and you got mail, it was always something cool. Now when you get it, it's like a summons or a jury duty or a bill.
Junk mail's existed my whole life, and I know that I'm going to get some flyers and stuff, and that's easy. Toss them into the recycling; they're gone. So many pieces of mail now, though, look like they could be important, and they're not.
And they're not.
And I absolutely hate the process now that you have to go through every week or so because they pile up. I don't open them up. I stick them in a pile. All of a sudden, I got this pile of 40 letters, and there's really no telling the difference between this is your major bill, and you have to do this one, and this is just an opportunity for a new line of credit, and I don't know the difference, and I have to sit there and wedge my finger in every single envelope, open it, looking at it, and go, okay, this is not important, and toss it.
I don't need a loan. I don't need this credit card.
If I was in charge and could make the laws, you could still send junk mail, but it would have to be clearly labeled
Junk
as
mail.
such. It's like, this is, go look at it if you want, but this is not important. This is not going to be, you're not going to lose a credit rating point if you don't open this one and you thought it was junk mail, you threw it away. No, actually that was, your property tax bill.
Right. No, you're absolutely. It's hard. It's much harder to discern.
It's so difficult
fact from fiction these days when it comes to the mail. But
sometimes they look like, it could be a check. Sometimes I do get checks in the mail.
Yes, you get a check.
Sometimes I get something that is fake that looks like a check, and it's really just an advertisement
for like a credit card or something. And I'll give you $150. I got a $150 check. Yeah, but you just signed up for 48% interest. No, I'm with you. The only bad thing about the Airbnb is that came home. We had a long day yesterday. Came home and walked in my bedroom, and my bed's unmade. Now, I guess I could have made my bed like a grown, almost 50-year-old man did. Now you look at the difference in my room and Paulie's room. I walked into Paulie's room. Everything was hung. Everything was clean and organized. And the bed was made. He was laying on top of a freshly made bed. I walked in. Mine looked like there were people from the street sleeping in my room. There's garbage everywhere. I was like, all right, this is a me thing.
And I just sleep on top of the bed. I don't even get into the bed.
It's such a weirdo.
It's part of it is just it's at a vacation rental.
All
I
right.
just don't know who's been there. So I just sleep on top.
I'll say this: last night I got in bed and I got under the covers and I started to fall asleep. And then I got a little itch. And then I got another one. And I'm like, oh, so I have bed bugs. I'm like, I definitely, there are you know how my mind works. Once something gets in there, it's done. So I'm fully convinced now that I'm covered with bed bugs right now because I had a small itch on my arm.
When I was a child, I think almost every night my mom would tuck me in, don't let the bed bugs bite.
Yeah.
It's a horrible thing to say.
It really is.
It really is a horrible
I'm
thing
sorry,
to say.
what did you just say?
Do we have bed bugs? I
And
feel
they're
that.
going to bite me?
So and I'll say, man, I do feel like now, and Adam, you're going to hate this. You're going to hate this so much. I do feel like maybe a hotel is a better option for us moving forward.
Well, yeah. I mean,
It's going to be, it's going to be triple the price.
my biggest gripe with the vacation rental home route is that you get hit with a couple $100 cleaning fee,
Pull it up.
which I have no problem
You
with
have
that.
it, right?
Yeah.
Tell you guys listening.
I have no problem with the cleaning fee.
You can weigh in in the chat or on Twitter, whatever. You tell me if this is egregious.
And I don't know exactly what it was. I can look at the receipt. I think it's $150, $200. For
yeah,
the cleaning
$200.
fee. But then when you get the
All right,
message
listen to
as you
this.
check in, first of all, thermostat, we ask that you don't keep the temperature above the. Let us be comfortable. However we want
Yeah, the
that to
hotel,
be.
they don't tell you what you can set your thermostat.
You can put it
to.
on 49 if it'll let you.
And then it says for checkout. Checkout is at 10 a.m. unless there's pre-approved, blah, blah, blah. Empty the fridge.
Okay, empty the fridge.
All trash and recycling bags to the containers in the front of the house. Load and start the dishwasher.
What?
Remove the sheets and linens from all the beds that were used. if you have time, we would appreciate starting a load of laundry towels in the washing machine.
Are you effing
Thanks.
kidding me?
Are you paying us that cleaning fee that we're paying to you? Because it sounds like we're cleaning the house for you.
And I go,
before we
it's
leave.
got to be one or the other.
Should I, you know what? I saw a grill. Should I put some ribs on there to smoke some ribs for you guys?
Big
Please
Nick
clean the
Saban vibe
pool.
here. No showers longer than 5 minutes. This isn't a spa. There's a great barbecue outside. Don't touch that.
I felt like it was really, this ask was really egregious from this guy who also happened to double book. I felt like this was a little bit egregious. The starting of no, I'm not starting a load of laundry for you. Should I make some finger sandwiches for you and your finger quote cleaning crew? That what do they do if I'm doing all this work? What are they there
If you could
for?
unmount my big screen, I would like to move it to that wall. Actually, there should be a level somewhere in the garage
There's a mop
that you don't have access to.
I really did
There's
feel.
a can of paint. The side of the house
Touch up.
hasn't been finished yet.
Yeah, what am I, Ralph Macchio and the Karate Kid? I'm out in the back painting this guy's fence, sand the floor. I'm like, what is happening right now?
And exterminate all the bed bugs.
It's just incredible. So I again, what am I paying you $200 for if I'm sanding your deck for you? It's so stupid.
Adam's going to be on the phone with this guy. So we got charged a cleaning fee, and they had to clean it.
I really do feel. I feel that maybe next year we look at the scene for a hotel and just do it and just do the hotel. I mean, we don't hang out that much anyway when we're in the house. You know, we don't.
No,
Like,
we
I go to
our
my
own
rooms.
Yeah.
You know, I don't get a lot of alone time by myself, so I take it and I run with it.
Let's before Manny's going to come out here in the next few minutes, let's give the lineup here before we go to traffic and a break. Since we teased it, here's what the Padres will have for you today as they visit the Oakland A's out in Mesa. Luis Arraez will be the designated hitter and lead off. Tyler Wade batting second and playing second base. Eggy Rosario is back out in left field again, getting another opportunity to start and hit third. Elias Diaz is the catcher, batting fourth. Trenton Brooks is your first baseman, a kid from Alpine.
I thought it was Garth Brooks
It's not
making
Garth.
another. I saw Brooks. I was unfamiliar with him.
Garth Brooks has been here at spring
he
training
was
camp
San
in
Diego
Peoria, but that
Padre.
was probably like 30 years ago. Brandon Lockridge will play center field and hit sixth. Leo Dallas DeVries in the starting lineup, batting seventh, playing shortstop. Let's see, Wall. What's his first name?
Forrest
Wall. That's right. He had the home run yesterday.
Yep.
Forrest Wall batting eighth in right field, and Nico Goodrum will be the third baseman, batting ninth with Matt Waldron on the mound.
I think you said Oakland A's mistake.
That's right. The Athletics.
They want the Athletics.
That's right, just the Athletics. Now, Diaz is catching Waldron. Does that mean he is the personal catcher for Waldron? Because we heard that's the plan now.
Well,
Waldron
I thought
is
Maldonado caught him last time out.
did he?
So maybe they're just seeing who. Sure, it was Martin that caught him the
But
last
I
time
don't
out.
know what chances are that Martin makes the actual team at this point.
That's a good point.
Diaz almost certainly will make the team.
Yeah.
I wonder if they have if Matt Waldron's in the rotation, if that's the plan that Diaz is going to be kind of his personal knuckleball catcher, which is not an enviable job for a catcher to be sure.
I would not want that gig.
But that's your lineup for today's game. 12:05 start out in Mesa at Hohokam against just Athletics or Sacramento Athletics, if you want to describe them as such. All right, Manny Machado, I think he'll be coming out here in just a couple of minutes, so we will check traffic, and then do not go anywhere. You don't want to miss it. We usually talk to him just the once a year here at spring training, but it's always a fun conversation with the Padres' third baseman, Manny Machado, coming up with Benna Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3. Wind is kicking up here at the Peoria Sports Complex today. It's Ben and Woods. We are live here today and tomorrow. Yesterday was great as well. As I said, Manny Machado is supposed to join us as he comes out from the clubhouse onto the field. Also mentioned Jason Hayward was going to be joining the program as well. Right now, Jason's serving as our he's kind of like our sandbag, keeping our tent from blowing away at this moment. But he's sitting right there. But he said, I'm not going to go in front of Manny. He wanted to wait for Manny to come out and do his spot with us before he sat down. So he's here, though. He's tier one in the audience at this point. I'm looking forward to talking to Jason, though. And it looks like he's going to sit down. All right. Yeah, you can wait on Manny for a while, Jason. He's got Manny time.
He's on his Manny time.
He's got a schedule. So let's welcome to the program one of the newest members of the Padres, veteran Jason Hayward is with us here on 97.3 The Fan. How you doing, man? Nice to meet you.
I appreciate the welcome. I'm doing awesome. It's a beautiful morning out here in Peoria, and we're another day closer. I think that's the mindset and that's the vibe in camp so far.
So for you, you've been to a lot of these. A lot of these spring trainings, a lot of different teams, and run into a lot of different players. When you get the call and find out there's interest with the San Diego Padres, kind of tell us how that went for you.
Padres had interest, I feel like midway, quote unquote, through the offseason, but I think everyone got to see it. Baseball fans, baseball players, this is, I feel like, one of those premier destinations right now. You see it throughout my career, especially this is year 16. Wow. When the Padres have an opportunity to be good, that's one of the places you want to be. So that was my mindset. But AJ reaching out, a couple of people in the front office reaching out saying we have interest, but we also have to see how some things play out. And, as we're doing our due diligence through the rest of the league and seeing what opportunities might come about, this was a unique offseason. Like a lot of times there's filler space that, front offices say, hey, we want to see what we can do with trades, this and this and that, free agent wise. But this was actually like holding true. A lot of free agents. Of course, there's still a lot of guys out there, but also a lot of trade potential. So, just an exciting phone call, exciting opportunity when I heard Padres had interest.
And you talked about premier destinations, and as much as we don't like the Dodgers here in San Diego and on this program, it is a premier destination. And it was such an example for me last year of just how ice cold this business can be when you hit the big home run, and then next day they're like, we're going to go in a different direction. I mean, yes, you have 15 years of the league at that time. Still can't feel great, when you're contributing and helping a team win. And I know you're going to get a World Series ring this year from them, and that's really special. But it that moment for me in particular, I went, my God, man, we got to keep remembering how these guys are human and how this business can be nasty.
Absolutely. It's 100% a business. I think the quicker you learn that, the better, especially for some of the young guys coming on the scene who are doing a lot of good for this game and bringing in this new era. At the same time, you got to go about your process. You've got to show up every day, of course, like pushing to win. You want to be in that opportunity. A franchise who's, making their best mark on each day and impacting and getting the best 9 players on the field. At least LA was open in conversation and in communication with me, and they let me know how it went. It came down to crunching numbers on who's going to be there longer term, who may not be, and I had to go about my separate way and figure out what was next for me and my family.
We've talked to so many big leaguers over the years, and they kind of make reference to it in the movie Moneyball. That after a while, you're a professional in this business. You just want to hear it straight. You don't want to be kind of looking over your shoulder and maybe hearing whispers and this and that. Nick Castellanos said it this offseason. He said he heard he was rumored. He just called the GM and said, "Are you trading me? I just want to know." And he said, "No, I'm not. I'm not trading you." And for a guy with as much experience as you have in the league, is that true? You just be straight with me. Let me know I can handle it. I'm a big boy.
That's what you would prefer. You would prefer someone to be straight with you. I feel like in any job, that's what you would hope to have happen, especially one like this one, performance-based on the field. But even then, like the amount of time I've had now, I understand they might be being straight with me in that moment. They may get a phone call they're not expecting to get from someone. Yeah. Right? I think a great example of that is a Craig Kimbrell and, Justin B.J. Upton coming over here, I think the day before opening day in 2015, where Atlanta's like, no chance for trading our guy. They get a phone call, we're making that trade. Yeah. So I just think keeping an open mind, appreciating the opportunities of where you are in the moment. A lot of guys ask me about, the many franchises that I played for now, the winning cultures. Timing's everything. If you get an opportunity to be a part of an organization who's in that moment of attempting to win right now, attempting to win today, then that's really all you can ask for. And a chance to win a ring means a lot.
No doubt.
I think that's the kind of like the big piece that I also try to share with people. What's it like to win a ring? Hell of a lot of sacrifice, hell of a lot of people being disappointed on a daily basis in a certain sense, but also the overall goal is to win that ring at the end of the year, and it takes every bit of that as well.
We're talking to Jason Hayward, and there are a couple of guys here that have one or two. Xander, Joe won one with Houston. They talk about bringing in guys who've won World Series before, not just the Dodgers, but of course you won the one with the Cubs. What can you do though in terms of you have to kind of live it as well. You can't just tell guys how to win a World Series; they have to go through it themselves to get there.
That's a great point. You've got to go through it yourself. You have to live it. It's a blur. It's a blur when it's all said and done. You're the team that holds the trophy. It's a blur. But I think, and I'm sure like Joe can attest to this. Even Bogey. But when you're in that game 7 in a World Series, when there's no tomorrow, that's what your whole season's based on. Like, hey, we got another chance tomorrow. Keep fighting, keep fighting. When you have no tomorrow, I think that's a whole nother thing that opens up and you tap into. But all in all, it is about the process. It is about the expectation. Some teams come into it, they're picked to win it. Some teams come into it and they're the Cinderella story. But I just think all in all, any opportunity you have to feel that moment, to get into October, you got to be in the dance to win it. These are stories and moments you can share for a lifetime, but especially with the players you come in contact with, and it's been cool to be able to tap into that with some guys that have asked and try to pick my brain.
Well, and this franchise is not as maligned as the Chicago Cubs were when you guys won that ring. I spent time in Chicago, went to college there. It's one of the best cities in the country. I know how passionate they are about their team. They sold out that stadium all the time with not great teams. They wanted it badly, and we do too in San Diego for
Definitely.
sure. To win it for them. And then, of course, to the speech. Everyone talks about the speech that you gave, the rain delay. I mean, that I didn't really have – I was rooting for the Cubs because I was there, but the feeling of having a rain delay in a freaking World Series game and having to go back out and go out and win a ball game after what had just happened to Aroldis Chapman. I mean, it's the highest drama World Series in many, many years. The World Series will disappoint from time to time.
Absolutely.
That one did not. That one was as nerve-wracking. I can't even imagine what it was like to be a part of it. Like you said, it's a blur. But I'm sure the older you get and you reflect on it, you realize how special that was for that city.
100%. I guess starting with the rain delay, when I think about it now, the pitch clock, good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Getting that in. And even if there's no rain delay, on my mind, I'm thinking, well, at least I have a chance, that day in 2016 to say something before we get back on the field. But right now, you don't have that opportunity as well. So, it was just timing was everything. I felt like that was the first time I had seen all year where that group could really use, hey, let's remember who we are. Let's not forget that. Like, we've looked at every challenge we've taken on all year long.
The mood was pretty down.
The mood was down, and I think when something like that happens, a safety squeeze, someone's called to do something like that no one's thinking about, which is also what made Joe special. But when you have a guy who's already hit a home run in the game and Javi Baez off of a cutter pitcher and Kluber, same situation with Shaw right there, 3-2. That's just something no one was expecting, right? Like, we can all say, hey, maybe Javi strikes out, maybe Dex flies out, lines out, whatever. That's something we can see the failure we're expecting. But just getting back on that rain delay situation, I was just like, let's just check in. Let's remember who we were, who we are. Every team has to overcome things that they're not expecting all year long, and we've done it the best. I don't know how it's going to finish, but let's do it that way. But then when you talk about the city, unbelievable. I remember after the parade that morning in Chicago, we go straight from the float, go somewhere to get lunch, walk in a restaurant. The restaurant gets up from one side. Everyone goes over to the other side by the bar. Everyone.
The seas parted.
The seas parted. No one says anything. They get up, look at us, go to the other side, and say, hey, you guys go sit over here. You got it.
Come on.
Quick applause, and then, no, like, you guys go have that moment. No one came over there and bothered. No one came over there and bothered us. Of course, the people, the waiters, waitresses, everything, made sure we had a great experience. But that was the beginning of seeing the appreciation and the generations of people who said, like, thank you guys for getting this done for us.
Yeah, I mean, there's great, people out there watching the Cubs for 70 years, and never got that close. And to be able to win it, that city was electric.
Jason, we look forward to watching you with the Padres this season. Appreciate you sitting down for a couple of minutes. I don't know why, but I feel like we're the supposed professional radio announcers. You sound more like a DJ than we.
You actually do. Have you thought about it?
Smooth 92.1 FM or something. I
know you still
outmatched here.
I know you still want to play, and you got some gas left in the tank. But have you thought about life after baseball?
No, I appreciate that. I think you guys have way more experience from this vantage point and perspective and tapped into the vibes that San Diego is going to bring at Petco Park. Looking forward to experiencing that in person. But no, life after baseball, I have 2 boys now. Messi is my oldest / my youngest, my wife V and I. The thoughts have crept in there just based on teams may not be interested any longer. But winning solves everything in my mind. So I think whatever is next, I'm just going to look to win, look to be competitive, and whatever that space happens, baseball, non-baseball, I want to do my best to be competitive and win.
And there's a spot. There's a spot, and you've got young guys challenging for it, and you got veteran guys challenging for it. Kind of how do you feel going into it? 16 years in the big leagues, you're like, I'm back competing for a spot in left field.
100%. I think the experience with LA a couple of years ago in 2023 was a good teacher in that sense. But to be honest, I've been there before.
Yeah.
Coming into this at 20 years old, first time in the major leagues, I know what it's like to compete for a spot. Come in, obviously be respectful, help other guys around you grow, but I've got work to do. I think the big thing at this point early in camp is make sure I take care of my body, make sure I'm not trying to chew off everything in one bit, and for the long run, get the reps in, go compete, and make adjustments day to day and keep working towards that. Because once you have something to shoot for, feedback based on how games are going, how practice is going, you kind of gel all that together, and then you put together a camp that says I'm ready to go compete and help a team win.
Jason, appreciate it. Thank you for sitting down
Thanks
with
so
us.
much. That was awesome.
Jason Hayward, we're going to take a quick time out. Manny's coming out next, so we will have Manny Machado joining us on the other side of Ben Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The area, scheduled to be joined by Manny Machado probably any minute now. So we'll just kind of hang loose for a couple of moments till Manny comes out. I did see.
Have you ever hung loose
I don't-
in your
I don't
entire
hang-
life?
I don't.
Ever once?
I do not hang loose at all. Fairly uptight person.
You hang
actually, for
tight.
the most part.
That's what you hang tight.
Did get some new NL Manager of the Year odds going into this season.
Yeah.
First time I've seen this, and it's interesting. How do you come up with odds for the guy who's going to win the Manager of the Year award before the season has even started? Got the top 8 for you here. Any guesses before I show you who it is?
Let's see.
Who would you say is your NL Manager of the Year favorite going into this season? I mean, it makes sense when I kind of look at it, because you think what a Manager of the Year has got to be a team. Usually it's not expected to be
Got to do
great, better than last year. Like, what team's going to improve from last year?
Got to do a lot with less.
Yeah, that's sometimes part of it. But what team is going to make the biggest jump maybe from last season to this season?
God, I don't know. Give it to
Didn't
me.
make the playoffs.
Give it to me.
Craig Counsell right now is your favorite.
That's a
with the Chicago
trendy,
Cubs.
trendy pick.
Then Terry Francona is the second selection at plus 500 to the Reds.
To the Reds, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, they'd want to give it – if the Reds had a good season, like, oh, yeah, we definitely
Well-
give Tito all the credit for that.
Like Tito was he was near death a couple of years ago. You know what I mean?
So
It's
he'd be a
pretty
good
amazing.
story, so that made kind of sense. Third choice is Derek Shelton of the Pirates.
Pass. That's not happening.
I mean, they'd have to have but if they have a good season, it's like, oh, there's a no-brainer. Derek Shelton got them going. Dave Roberts is the fourth choice.
Overall Shilty?
Overall Shilton.
Come on.
Bob Melvin is the fifth choice.
There is no way. No chance.
Remember, they didn't make the playoffs last year, so if they did this year, they
do the odd even thing. Yeah.
Dave Martinez is the sixth choice
Come
of the
on.
Nationals.
Really? All right.
Torey Lovullo of the Diamondbacks.
That's one I can get behind.
And then Mike Schilt is the number 8 choice for Manager of the Year.
I don't buy it.
Now, he was top 3 in the voting last year, right? Didn't win it, but was one of the finalists. But again, when you're coming off a 93-win season, people aren't really expecting the Padres to improve off of that. I mean, we'd all sign up for 93 wins right away.
ASAP.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, for the Manager of the Year voting, you go, well, kept them where they were from last year. I don't, so I think that's why his odds are a little bit longer. But it's a funny race. Again, you're not picking necessarily the best manager. You're picking the team that made the best improvement, or the team that wasn't expected to do that much that, outperformed expectations.
That, as Balsamic Vinny so eloquently put it in the chat, that list is some bullshit. That was close. I had to be really careful with that.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
So, I understand where they're coming from. They're trying to get, the even amount of betting on all of these guys.
If you're putting money on Manager of the Year right now, you're a bigger degenerate than I am. All right? That's what it – hey, you got to get those odds for
even
Manager
Woods
of the
draws
Year.
a line
Even
somewhere.
I'll bet on spring training games before I'll bet on the Manager of the Year. Good Lord. So subjective. They have AL or just NL?
I just had the NL that I got this email that was just giving me those. I just thought, I wonder where Mike Schilt came in.
JT makes a good point, and it said, how is Roberts even considered with that roster? How are you even considered?
I think, here's why I think he's considered. If they do something historic,
like 120
win
wins,
122 games,
then they have to give it to him.
And no one else is like, has a crazy unexpected season, then he's probably like, let's do him the default choice. When are you going to give it to him otherwise? I mean, he's always going to have the best roster. So if you were ever going to give it to him, a historic season would probably be the chance to give him that award.
Yeah, I guess.
There.
It's it's one of those things that kind of works against him.
I'll tell you what, if any team finishes ahead of the Dodgers in the NL West,
that's your winner.
Automatically winning
that's
the Manager of the Year award.
No question.
So you've got that going for you going into the season.
No doubt about it.
So I don't know. It means less than nothing, obviously.
Correct.
But it is kind of interesting. But we talked about, Schilt, the Brian Kenny's manager rankings. He had him ranked second, right?
Yeah, he did.
Baseball, top manager.
That was hard for Brian Kenny, too. He doesn't like to give the Padres much credit.
But, Mike seems very at ease this spring. Not that he was uptight last spring.
He was uptight last spring. Yeah, you can say it.
With a new manager, with a new team, there certainly is a different dynamic than a guy coming back after a successful season, with a contract extension. It's a different dynamic this year for Mike Schill.
Well, and again, you hear how his players are speaking about him. Guys that are sitting down talking about what he's done for them, and talking about Tyler Wade's interview yesterday, and he's letting the guys kind of do their thing, and he does seem a lot more at ease and less uptight this year.
All right,
for good reason, I think.
All right, as expected, Manny's going to be on his own time, so we'll just patiently wait here until he comes out.
I'll wait for Manny for 2 hours. I don't care.
Oh, let's see. I did watch a little bit of college basketball last night. I said I didn't watch any, just a touch of the Boise State-Utah State game. That was actually, I was surprised. Boise State won fairly easily. It was on their home floor, but it impacts the Aztecs in that San Diego State is now tied with Boise for 4th place in the Mountain West.
Okay.
They're still probably heading toward that 4 or 5 game, but now we're just a game behind both Colorado State and Utah State in the loss column, and 2 games behind New Mexico with 3 to play. I mean, mathematically, they're still in the conference race. I think it would be tough to catch New Mexico, but if they win the last 3, they could move up to 3rd or even 2nd place, possibly, for the Mountain West tournament at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, and again, you don't want to get into a spot, and I don't think they are, where they have to win that tournament to get the bid to the
hopefully not
NCAA tournament, but we will certainly see. Are we doing SDFC tickets today? Or are we doing?
We did it yesterday.
We did it
yesterday, but I would imagine we'll talk with our next guest, who's coming up right now, since he is one of the owners of the team.
Yes,
about SDFC and that fantastic debut performance on Saturday. In their 2-0 win over LA Galaxy.
That was awesome.
He'll probably talk a little bit of baseball as well while he's sitting here, but it is our pleasure to welcome Manny Machado of the San Diego Padres.
Yeah.
What's your 97.3 The Fan? Hi, Manny. How are you?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Yeah.
So
how
You
excited
guys brought
were
the
you?
cold over here, huh?
I guess. It's all
it was
windy.
nice. It was nice and hot. Now it's
hot.
cold.
You like it hotter out here?
Nah, I like it like this.
Like this. It's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
It sucks all the moisture out of you, this place. Arizona does every time.
It's tough.
It's tough,
It's
dude.
tough.
It's
Imagine
tough.
being here 6 weeks.
I can't do it. You and Sammy Lev, and those are the guys that are here the longest, man. So you look great, man. You're feeling great. The health is good. Family's good.
Everyone's good.
How's the baby boy?
He's awesome, man.
Is he?
He's awesome.
Getting
growing.
old?
Great. Keep getting old. Almost a year.
It's crazy, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Time
It's
flies.
awesome.
Getting into the
It's
routine. There's a lot of routine when
A lot
it
of
comes to being
routine.
a parent.
Yeah, it's tough, because it's the routine between his life, obviously is changing, and then not getting into season now. It's a whole completely different animal. Going to the games at night, or night games, and naps during the day, and
That's you or him?
both.
Both.
Both. When he naps, I nap.
That's the rule. I told you that
Yeah.
rule last year. When he
Absolutely.
naps, you nap.
Absolutely.
I try to do it now. Mine are 7 and 4, and they don't nap much anymore. But my wife's like, "But you're still napping in the middle of the day, and that's a problem."
Hey, you got to take it in.
That's
you got to
right.
get your 30 minutes in.
Got to.
But for me, it's like 2 hours. So.
I know. I'm with you 100%. A lot's been made of it, and I know you've talked about it already this year. But coming into camp, well, and having an off season where you could go lift and do all the things that you need to do to get your body ready for a long season. We know how important it is to be on the field. What a load off for you this year. No surgery, no nothing. Just can go and lift and get strong and hit bombs.
Yeah, man, it was fun. It was fun, honestly. It's a grind, because obviously with the rehab and you have to do so much, just for your arm that you kind of sometimes don't even have time to, get your body going. And then on top of that, there's a lot of things I couldn't do last year because of my elbow, right? I couldn't squat, I couldn't load up anything, I couldn't really grip. So, because I'm obviously trying to get the strength back. So there's a lot of things that I had to kind of change, but a lot of good that I learned from that as well, that I kind of incorporated into my workout this year and kind of got better at, that I wasn't really as good with the flexibility side of some lifts. So, yeah, man, just having an off season was a normal off season was pretty nice to have.
I know spring training results mean less than nothing, but first pitch home run last
How
Friday,
about that?
Yeah,
you
I'm
wanna
getting back
take
to my
one?
old self. Nah, I'm swinging. I hack. I don't take.
I
They don't
felt
pay me to
sorry.
walk.
I don't even know who the pitcher was.
I don't
felt a little
remember.
Sorry, like you're gonna let me get one over just before you're
Yeah,
gonna take
he
one
told
over
me,
the
he's like,
fence?
I saw him after walking off the field. He's like, "Come on, man, I'm trying to make a team over here. You already made it, so let me get one." Yeah, trying to be back.
I remember getting into a debate with somebody online, shocker, last year. And, oh, man, he needs to see more pitches. And I'm like, bro, I like pulled your numbers on the first pitch, and they're pretty nasty. I mean, you go up there and hunt and looking for something to drive. We've never actually sat and talked hitting with you, and I love to watch you hit. And I watch it, and you don't tinker much. You're not a big tinkerer. Like, you kind of stick with what got you here, I would imagine. But so what do you work on? Like, when you go talk to Victor and stuff, and you guys are working in the cages in season, before the season, during the season, what are you doing in there?
All right, so so last year, I don't tinker a lot, right? I stick to what my strength is, and it's to swing, right? When I chase a little bit. I've gotten better over the years without chasing. My numbers, my walk numbers have gotten up a little bit over the years. I think that's just more mental side of things, right? Of you just kind of getting smarter, knowing what the pitchers are doing to you, right? But as a mechanical side of things, I kind of stick with my strengths, right? Staying inside the ball, hitting the ball to right field, line drives, let the ball, have high extension at the end. Last year with my swing, I kind of had to change a lot of things. My elbow wasn't allowing me to get into the slot I wanted to get into, which was previously from the previous injury from the years prior was the same thing happening to me. I was kind of going around the baseballs, couldn't really stay inside the ball. I couldn't really, get into the slot that I wanted to. So everything was kind of coming around, and the same thing happened last year when the season started. So me, Vic and Bert kind of like, we kind of just sat down and kind of like try to reinvent the wheel a little bit and try to just see what worked. We're middle of the season, so you can't really hold on, I'm going to stop and take a 2-week vacation. No, you got to kind of just trying to figure it out on the fly. And, we kind of tweaked a couple things and kind of just ended up working for me. And now that I had a good off season, got back to my roots, using my one-hand bat that I couldn't use prior just because of the strength and the elbow purpose. But now I'm able to get back into my slot. I'm in a better slot position. I'm able to create those angles that I wanted to with my barrel and kind of be my old self.
Yeah, you're being honest with us right now, which you wouldn't have been last year when we asked you how you're feeling. You would have said, I'm fine. I'm doing fine, because you don't talk about injuries. You don't like talking about injuries, but clearly they have an impact on everybody in the game. And it makes a difference going into the season, obviously, for you like this, feeling healthy, like not like you did last year, recovering from the surgery.
Yeah, it feels good, man. Like getting back to, being able to stay inside the ball well, and my elbow being able to do things that I wasn't able to do before. It still hurts every once in a while. I'm not going to lie. It's part of it, but your whole body hurts at this point. I'm in spring training 2 weeks in, my body hurts, my joints are already aching, and but that's just part of the grind, man. I think that's the beauty of baseball, and why I love it so much. It's just the aches and pains that this game.
You're gonna love your 40s then.
You're gonna love your 40s.
Yeah.
It's the best.
32s are not feeling great so far.
32.
So I got 9 more left.
Yeah. Why anybody ever throws you a fastball in the inner part of the plate is beyond me, but it does happen.
It's crazy you brought that up, right? Because it's like I was looking at it the other day. I'm like, man, how the first couple lives that we had against our pitchers, I'm like taking, right? And I'm like 0-2 right off the gate. I'm like, God, what's going on? Like 0-2, boom. Then it's next pitch, slider down. I take it. I'm like, all right, that's for sure a ball. The guys in the back, obviously, all pitchers behind the net.
Of course.
They have the freaking little iPad, and they're like, yeah, it's a strike. I'm like, here you go.
That's out. 3 pitches.
I'm like, you couldn't even get a swing out. So after that, I'm like, man, after the third time, I'm like, I had like 7 at bats. I had like 5 punchies, all looking, and I'm like, forget that.
I'm not doing this.
Swinging.
I'm swinging.
I'm swinging.
That's
who I am.
It is who you are. And you go back and you look at your numbers every year, and you talk about 30 and 100, 30 and 100, 30 and 100, 30 and 100. And I was looking at him this morning, and I'm like, the dude you can almost take it to the bank. So for you, I think the most you hit in a season, 37. And again, I know you're not up there looking to hit a bomb. You're looking to hit those gaps. You're looking, that right center gap is where that's when you're going right center, everyone knows, oh God, he's locked in. Like he's locked in. He's going to be locked in for a couple weeks. For you, do you look at things like that and go, 30 is great, but 40 would be dope?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like 32.
Absolutely. I definitely want to hit that number.
Yeah.
It's a number I never hit. So Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's on my radar. Kind of want to go back and win a Gold Glove again. It's been a while since I won one, so
which is ridiculous in its own right.
Yeah. It's politics in this world. But it's a good number. It's a big number. Petco's a little harder to do it in our division. It's a big ballpark, so I think you got to give and take. But I mean, it's doable for sure.
Well, we politicked hard for Jackson Merrill and Mike Schill. The best we can do is get you a runner-up. I think Gold Glove Award. Apparently,
yeah, we did. I mean, God,
we'll try as best as we can. I want to ask you. You talked about facing your own pitchers during spring training. At the end of the day, they're your teammates. You want success for them, but here you're kind of going up against them. We saw Nick Pivetta and Fernando Tatis Jr. going at it yesterday. What's it like when you're going up against your own guys and trying to? Because you got some really good pitchers on this squad.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I mean, it's fun, man. It's a friendly competition, right? I mean, it's something that we could get back and pushing each other on things. There's a lot of feedback that goes into these. We kind of give them feedback on like, hey, how this pitch is doing this pitch is doing that. They're also testing out pitches, so there's a lot of feedback we could give them. But at the end of the day, some bragging rights go. That kind of stays the whole year. You could always go back to that bomb that you hit off some guys.
Yeah. We got a few
or
more,
the punchies.
Got a few more questions for Manny, including about the big win for his soccer team on Saturday. We got to pause 10 seconds for station identification here. It's Ben Woods on 97.3 The Fan. So, Manny, obviously you're busy at work getting ready for the season here in San Diego. Did you get a chance to watch, though?
Absolutely.
SDFC on Saturday.
Absolutely.
What an unbelievable – or Sunday, what an unbelievable debut.
Absolutely. It was a great win, great first win. And to do it in L.A. with the defending champs, even better.
Crazy.
Huh?
Crazy.
That was
never
insane.
So were you a big soccer fan your whole life, or was this just something like an opportunity?
Actually, when I got into pro balls, when I kind of got into soccer, I wasn't a big soccer fan growing up. I couldn't play soccer, and I didn't really know much about it. And then pro ball guy, you start learning about Madrid, Barcelona. Became a Barcelona fan with Messi, and just started watching soccer there. And then, fast forward now, part owner of a soccer team in San Diego, and being part of a franchise that's gonna bring a lot of championships, hopefully, to the city. And two franchises, not just one. But it'll be fun, man. And honestly, from that game, what I got the most was, you see how many fans went up there, man.
Crazy.
I mean, and people always say that we're not San Diegans aren't loyal fans, and we went up there and showed out. They show out for baseball, and they're showing out for soccer as well.
It's crazy. And then even since you started here in San Diego playing for the Padres, I mean, Petco Park the last couple of years has been insanity.
Yeah.
I mean, insanity. And I know you guys feed off of it, and you see the loyalty, and I know how important it is for you to.
Why not do it again?
No doubt. I mean, and I know, for you, we've asked a lot of the guys about it. The way that it ended last year was, it was just so out of character for the team, and you really can't go into the offseason and go, well, we're not going to go 24 scoreless innings again, because it very well could happen. I mean, it could happen to start the season. You just don't know with this game. How hard was that for you guys to deal with, and how long did it take you to kind of get it out of your mind once it was over?
Yeah, it sucked. You know, you look up. I mean, in the moment, you don't even know you're going.
Right.
You're going through that drought, right? And so after, where they talk about, oh, they went, so and so innings without scoring. I mean, it was tough. You know, I mean, it was tough. I mean, they came out. I don't know what happened. They came out and they showed out, man, and they pitched really well. And we couldn't do it. I mean, we're trying everything. I mean, we had scouting reports. We had, we knew exactly what they were doing. It was just they were executing, and we just couldn't get one across. And that's baseball sometimes, right? Does this thing? Obviously, it stings. I mean, of course it's going to. But yeah, man. I mean, at the end of the day, you kind of. You kind of look at the good and the bad out of that series, look at the good of the bad out of the whole year, and then you kind of regroup and start strategizing for the next year and how we can get better. And obviously with Schulte bringing in the new staff, with the players that we have around, we're going to continue to thrive, to get better at. There was a lot of things that we could have won the division last year easily. We lost it by 3-4 games. And there was 3 or 4 games that we did not play well throughout the year that we can get better at. And that's what we're working on now, is just the little things that we can get better at to not let that happen and, hopefully take a division.
A lot of the Dodgers a lot of them have said this, obviously, that was the real World Series against the Padres. We thought they were the better team going into it. It kind of drives him crazy when we've talked about it. It's respectful, obviously.
It is.
I'm sure you probably heard some of those comments. What was your reaction when you hear those guys say that?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely. I mean, I think it was a World Series all year. I mean, we're going back and forth the whole year. And then obviously that series was awesome. I mean, it was it was 2 big teams going right back at each other. We clapped, and then they clapped back, and then we clapped again. They clapped back, and then they had the last clap. And that's the beauty of sports, man. That's how it happens. And yeah, man, it was definitely a different vibe. I would say it was definitely a different vibe. It wasn't the vibe like we had a couple years before, prior. Even the championship series when we played against Philly, it wasn't the same. That was definitely for us, for sure. It was a World Series. We're playing it like it was a World Series, and we ended up falling short.
Well, Manny, I appreciate it. There may be a race now for that ring in San Diego, though, with SDMC.
I will say, first home game coming up Saturday.
Yeah.
I'll be there. So you fans that supported us in LA and supported us in San Diego.
You're going.
Nice.
Absolutely, I'm going.
Back to San Diego
Absolutely,
for
I'm
the
going.
game.
A little quick show out. So I'll be out there and come out there and support the fans.
Awesome, man.
Manny,
Thank you,
it's
as
always
usual.
Great talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Manny Machado, Padres third baseman. Always good to see him, man. Really good. And we're going to take a timeout, catch up on things for the final hour of Ben and Woods. We continue on live here from the Padres Spring Training Complex in Peoria, Arizona, on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Our thanks again to the, I think legendary is a good word to describe him,
Yep.
Manny Machado, for sitting down with us. I always enjoy what has become an annual tradition on the Ben and Wood Show, our spring training conversation with Manny. He's loose, Manny, when Manny gets locked in, it's definitely hard to get him to open up and sit down and opine about anything. But in spring training, he tends to give you a little bit more and reveal a little bit more about what's going on, and I always appreciate that and enjoy that in our conversation.
I do too, man. I to watch him. I spent a lot of time in the off season myself. When I get to Jones to watch a little baseball, one of the things my kids love to watch more than anything is Manny Machado defensive highlights, and it's something we watch a lot. And I think take for granted some of the brilliant plays that he makes. And I mean, there are 20-minute videos on there, Benny, of just highlight reel after highlight reel of Manny making plays. And I think he's changed a lot as a player and person as well. And it's just great to see. It's great to see how different he is now as opposed to the first time we ever interviewed him.
When I think of Manny Machado, to me, he's like the epitome of a professional baseball player. Honestly, the way he operates, it almost is taken to the extreme sometimes because he's just so focused. He's so pro about everything. Nothing seems to faze him or ruffle him.
Yeah.
He understands it all so well. And I always like to pick that brain, just like how did he get the way that he is?
Yeah, it was so cool when the mics went off. I had a chance to chat with him off, and Bobby Dickerson is a guy that kind of taught Manny at the big league level how to play third base as well as he does, and obviously it comes with a lot of talent. But I was asking him about a certain drill that Bobby Dickerson did. And I told him, I said, I did it for my 7-year-olds. He started dying laughing. He goes, it's so brilliant. He goes, it's such a fun drill for those kids to do. He goes, let me think of some more I'm going to tell you. Because Bobby Dickerson had some crazy ass drills. And he's just such a baseball guy, man. He's such a baseball dude. And I think fatherhood, has changed him a lot as well. It's just always great to talk to him.
When I think of professional broadcaster, though.
Yeah, 100%.
The name Jesse Agler certainly comes up in conversation, and Jesse has sat down and joining us right now, voice of the Padres here on 97.3 The Fan. Hello, Jesse.
What a segue, Ben. You want to talk about professionalism. With Manny, you know what? The talent is so extraordinary that I think it's very easy to forget, and I like that you guys were talking about it. The baseball IQ is off the charts.
Insane.
Off the charts. His little things are as good as anybody, that's ever played the game, and he understands it on such a minor level, such a major level, every little thing, every big thing, he nails it.
We talked about, actually it was Don Arcilla when we had him on last week, the triple play to clinch the playoff berth last season, and how instinctual that is. To even think you have a chance to pull off that play, because Don admitted, I wasn't thinking about that as a possibility. You had a great call of it as well, but you probably weren't thinking, well, you actually mentioned triple play right before, somehow wildly, but for him to have just the wherewithal just in that split second to know, okay, one step back, throw, I got to throw this one perfectly on the spot as hard as I can. That's part of Manny in a nutshell.
So one of the coolest things, maybe the coolest experience I've had in this job was the next morning. Everybody's a little groggy, right? It was kind of like, there's the clinching night.
Yeah.
And, so the next morning I was walking in the hotel and I just got a cup of coffee, and Manny was going to get a cup of coffee, and we passed each other and kind of like smiled. And he had heard the clip, where I had said whatever I said about the triple play. And he's like, did you really do that? I was like, yeah, I was like kind of crazy. But so he laughs. So I was like, hey, let me ask you. And we started talking about the entire at bat. And remember, he was showing bunt a pitch or two before. And I was like, if he had not shown bunt, would you have been where you were? And he and I stood there, like just in the hall of the hotel for 10, 12 minutes, talking about every little piece of that play, every variable, everything that could have gone the other way. And, the point being that it was almost like this 1 in a million. It just worked out perfectly. And then, Ben, to your point, he had to actually have, the physical and mental ability to go and actually execute the thing. But that's the great thing about baseball. That's one of those things I love so much about this sport, is that, every play is really 1,000 little things that creates the one big thing. And the guys that we get to see every day on the major league level do those 1,000 things in a way that most human beings cannot.
There's no question about it. And again, you mentioned baseball IQ. I say it and I tweet it 100 times a year. Baseball IQ is insane for Manny Machado, and the little things that he does. There are times, he just said, like, he admits, I'm not the fastest guy, but when he steals a base, he makes it. Like, he knows when to go. He knows when to take that extra bag. He knows when to run 100% down to first base. And I know that, there's still old heads out there that are like, nope, got to go full bore every single time. After, that many years in the big leagues, that much wear and tear on your body, like, I trust him to make those decisions. And how jarring is it, Jesse? Because we saw him we booted one last year. I think it was the playoffs. It's jarring. Yeah. Like, when he boots one, you're like, ooh. Somebody else boots one, you're like, all right. But
on the other side of that, it's like, I don't know how many times a year there's a ball over to third base, and maybe he's not in that day, or maybe it's something, that happens on the other team, and the guy doesn't make the play, and you're like, oh, man, he makes that play. And that's how you sort of remember not to take for granted what he's able to do defensively, because you see guys regularly around the league not make plays that he makes look like, as difficult as me standing up and sitting down.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It's the little short hops. It's the little quick, the gloves in the right spot. It's the bare hand play that is so difficult to make that, when you see that right hand extend, you're like, we got it. That's an out. I mean, and for a pitcher too, the pitching staff here benefits greatly from having a guy like that down at third. And it was fun. I've never gotten a chance to talk hitting with him over the years, and he looks the same every time he gets in the box. And to hear him say, no, I chase too much, and I'm working on that, and I've worked on that and gotten a little bit better. It is great to see, and having to completely revamp his swing last year on the fly in the middle of the season. I can't even imagine how much pressure that is, how difficult that is to do. So it's just always a pleasure talking to that cat.
Yeah. Talking to Jesse Agler. Paulie reminds me, if we had a lot of people probably tuning in for the biggest fan announcement, we were talking to Manny right at 9. So if you
am the biggest fan.
You are
Jesse Agler.
Well, I mean, someone's going to win,
fan.
and they're going to be sitting right next to you there because the Odyssey Suite's right below your booth. So the prize is a night in the Odyssey Suite for 20 people.
Wow.
You just have to be listening every day. And we announced today's biggest fan is Danny Santiago from Escondido. So,
all right, Danny,
you have 10 minutes to call Frankie back in the studio at 833-288-0973. If you do, you will qualify for the grand prize, 20 tickets, you and your friends, for a night in the Odyssey Suite at a Padres game later this season. And again, it's not too late to register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest fan. All right, Jesse, it is obviously.
I hope Danny's still listening.
Yeah, I hope he is too. Well,
come on, Danny.
Part of it. Danny, people will let him know, though, even if he isn't. If they know Danny, we've got a good Tier 1 community that's got everybody's back. So, Jesse, it's spring training for the players, and they've got their routine to get ready for the season, things they're working on. Do you ever work on anything in the offseason? Like, what do you want to get better at as a play-by-play broadcaster?
It's funny because I'm like these guys. I can spit the cliche, and it's true that you're always trying to get better. Yeah. Always. There will never, I hope, come a point in my career when I'm like, all right, I got this. I'm as good as I'm ever going to be. Those are the words you speak before death.
Yep.
In the business, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure you guys are the same way. Like, there's of course natural progression that you make. You get more comfortable. You get more experience. Those things help you get better time and time again over the course of your career. But you're always picking it apart, and you're always trying to be better. There's no question. I don't think it's very interesting for me to get into the nitty gritty of what I'm working on the way it might be for a player. But during the season, always picking stuff apart. Off season, certainly you kind of step back a little bit more and think about it a little bit. To me, that's one of the most important things. Like, I will never, ever, ever, ever sit back and be like, all right, I'm good. It's not my personality. And I think, as I said, that's just that doesn't work in this business. It really doesn't.
It was so good. I was driving around last Friday, and it was the first game. And I listened to Jesse Agler, and he was human. He goes, all right, and that's the third out. And he goes, nope, that's the second out. And it's spring training for us too.
Literally first game, right?
First game.
Yeah,
and
I was like, you gotta be kidding.
I was first inning, I think. It was the first inning.
Might have been,
I was like, that's how you do it. Because, on our show, we celebrate flubs.
Oh, yeah.
We celebrate them. You have to embrace the suck, as I call it. You have to.
There's like two schools of thought in broadcasting, obviously, right? One is like anytime you make a mistake, you just power through and hope nobody notices. And look, there are times when that works. Or when you have to, especially if you're doing play-by-play, like you don't necessarily have time to fix it in the middle of a call. Exactly. You just gotta like keep going. Like if I said he threw to the bait, whatever, But then there are other times, where you do. I'm with you. You got to celebrate it. There was a long time talk host in Miami where I grew up that was the first guy, and he was an older guy, been around forever, and he was the first one I'd ever heard that would like celebrate mistakes.
Yeah.
And, I thought to myself, like, well, if he can do that, then certainly the rest of us can do that as well. And it's just so much more authentic.
Yes,
and it sounds so much better. And I think that's such a part of the appeal you guys have to the listeners is that you're not trying to pretend to be perfect because nobody is.
Right.
And I think that authenticity is the key ingredient in what we all do. And that's a big part of it.
One of the weird things, though, about baseball and broadcasting is, in a season, you warm up, spring training, then you get to the regular season and the playoffs, and the game it gets harder and harder. There's honestly nothing harder to do than broadcast a spring training game because you have multiple substitutions in the middle of innings. You got players without names on their back. It's literally the hardest broadcasting you do.
It really is.
It's
easier with the.
It's different. It's not even the same. It's not the same
It's not
thing.
the same game.
No, it's not. It's a totally different game than the regular season. Opening day will come and I'll be like, oh, this is great. There's only 26 guys. And I know who they all
And
are.
they'll probably mostly play 9 innings.
Exactly.
And,
And if there's a pinch hitter, it's not going to send us spiraling trying to figure out who's coming up. So no, it's a totally different animal. I'm not going to name names, but there's a very, very, very prominent longtime big league announcer who said something to me a few spring trainings ago. And I'm talking like an elite upper echelon guy. And he said, I think about all the money that they pay me. This is how I get through spring training. And he goes, and they pay me quite a bit of money. And he goes, and in my head, I tell myself that every penny that they're paying me goes to spring training. And he goes, that helps me get through spring training. And then I do the regular season for free because it's so much fun. He's like, but if I imagine that all the money they're paying me is for these Cactus League games or these Grapefruit League games, because it might have been another, I'm not saying who it is, that's how he gets through spring training mentally.
We asked the players, and I was talking to one of the PR guys too, and I go, I was like, how you feeling? He's like, I'm beat already. And you hear it every year. How much do the players actually need, right? Like, could you feasibly shave a week,
Absolutely.
a full week off?
Absolutely.
And for you, what, 3 weeks off about? What do you need, about 2 weeks to get ready?
Yeah, probably.
About 10 games
Now,
or
look,
so?
I'm not in favor of cutting it down because I think, just because they don't need it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it.
Correct.
Because remember, there are a lot of guys, and it's a wonderful opportunity for some of these minor leaguers to get in front of the big league staffs and get some coaching, maybe be scouted and get an opportunity somewhere down the line. I think that stuff is important. And then look, at the end of the day, and I feel like this gets forgotten a lot by people inside the game, is like, this is an entertainment product. This is for the fans. And so taking away games that people do enjoy coming out to see is not, to me, good business. Less baseball for the fan base isn't a winning idea. I don't think so. Could you cut it off, by another week or so? Absolutely. But I don't necessarily think there's a reason to.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because when the season starts, I always think about you and Tony, and it's pretty much 7 days a week. Occasionally there's days off, but those are often travel days, and you're on a plane. But then we're off on the weekends, and I go, they're still working. But then there's the off season where we're still coming every Monday through Friday, and I go, okay, well, this is where the trade off is because we're in the year round. We don't have a spring training. We're just here every single week all year long.
How many vacation days do you take? Because I feel like when I come on during the seasons, about every other week, one of you is missing.
I don't agree. I don't agree with that at all. I'm taking a lot this year.
A lot.
Yeah.
Good for you.
My wife just keeps booking trips, and I'm like, I have a job, right? But now what I've decided, like, for example, I'm going to Hawaii with the family in August. I'm taking the gear. So I'm going to get up at 3 a.m. Hawaii time and do a show. Yeah, and do shows with these guys. I left them for 8 shows last year. That's in a row. That's a lot. That's a lot, and I put a lot on them. And about halfway through, I started to get really, really guilty and go, that's too much. It's really too much.
Yeah.
I left them for too long. A day here, a day there's fine. If he left me for 8 days, I would murder him. And so I said, I'm taking the gear. Now, again, it's Hawaii. It's 3 hours ahead. So I'm going to be up at 3 a.m. What do I got to do the rest of the day? Sit on my ass, go to the beach, do nothing. This way, the way I look at it, if it goes well, that just means I can take more vacation, and I can do the show from remote locations.
The technology is beautiful.
It really is beautiful.
There's very little flexibility in this job because you're on when you're on. The games are on when they're on. You don't get to pick your own schedule.
Right.
I get to work from home generally, unless there's a pandemic or something. But that's I think the benefits far outweigh the drawbacks.
No
of
complaints.
broadcasting.
No
Yeah,
complaints.
exactly.
None whatsoever. We talked last night at dinner, and we got the incorporator all locked in for the 2025 season, and we already have the first one. We
We do,
We
yes.
have the first one. It was a Jesse Agler suggestion, so we'll save it
Wow.
for.
All right. I don't even know. This happened after.
This was you. We're all finishing
Yeah.
dinner.
I
He
know.
pulls out his laptop
He just
and
starts
starts
working.
working at
Yeah.
the restaurant.
It's kind of awkward.
and so we walked outside and we
We
closed.
just left.
We closed the
I
deal.
didn't even say goodbye.
Deadlines.
Yeah.
So,
They're deadlines, and I'm on them. So I had to eventually get it back to the station before it was too late.
Like I went out and closed the deal with Jesse,
Yeah.
and we got it done.
when's the first Tuesday? I guess the second week of the season. Opening day is Thursday. So Diamondbacks.
Diamondbacks. Yeah, it'll be perfect.
Braves Diamondbacks. First homestand.
That's a
Get
big
excited.
one, man.
Then we get to go to Chicago early April. Going to be toasty.
And
Nice and chilly and
And then-
windy.
Sacramento.
And then Sacramento.
Ooh. do
Like
you
the
think
second is that the second ever series?
Yeah,
in
they've got the
Sacramento?
Cubs.
Yeah.
And then we'll be the second team into Sacramento. I'm excited about it, honestly.
It's different.
It's different. It's new.
Different,
Yeah,
yeah.
like it's, I love going to the Bay Area, so I'll miss, going there. And the Coliseum's awesome. Like, obviously, it's old and decrepit and they let it fall apart, but it's cool. And, I love Northern California. I've never been to Sacramento, so that's like another thing, I guess, a box to check. But and my sense and understanding is like the community there is really rallying around it, and they're
Sure.
excited about it. They're going to pack the place, so I think it's going to be really fun and neat. There's a part of me that feels bad for the A's guys,
Of course.
although it might end up working out all right for them. We'll see. But no, I think it'll be neat, and the fact that we're going early will be nice because it's not going to be 115 degrees.
Yeah.
Jesse, appreciate it. Looking
Yeah.
forward
Thank
to
you,
another
buddy.
season of the Incorporator. And good luck the rest of spring training. We leave tomorrow, and you'll
Enjoy
still
that.
be here for a while. Are you doing today's game?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you are going
Against
all the way
A's.
against the Athletics all
Those
the way.
team,
in
that team we were
Mesa.
just
That's
talking about. Yeah.
That's the longest road trip, right?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah, about 45, 50 minutes.
Drive all the way across town. Well, 12 o'clock, you'll have the stream, obviously, for the Padres
Tune
and
in.
Athletics. Tune in to Jesse Agler. Jesse Agler, voice of the San Diego Padres. We're going to take one final time out, wrap things up, and set the stage. We got one more day here in Arizona. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Tier 1s, for joining us. It's Ben Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Of Ben Woods is starting with a bit of an unexpected treat, because sitting down with us right now is Padres starting pitcher Dylan Cease. Dylan, it is great to see you back here with the San Diego Padres for season number 2. Obviously, you didn't get the full spring training last year with the Padres, so you're getting the full experience this year.
Yeah, it's good to be back. It's cool to see how everything's run here and actually get to see from the start what it's like. So it's been fun.
When you came last year, the team was already like on its way to Korea, or
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
I think it was the day of.
Yeah,
I think the day I got traded, it was around 3:00. I got the call, and I think the flight was at like 8.
That's right, man. That's right. And you see the media down there. Everyone's watching you throw. Yeah, we saw you yesterday. All right, so I got to ask you this. They have there's like a belt around you, is it like the stretchy belt?
Yeah, it's called a core velocity belt.
Core velocity.
Yeah.
So they put it around your waist, and you just kind of, is it to work on like driving your legs? What's it for?
It's to kind of train your lower half and just so basically it tries to pull you open, so you have to fight it to stay closed and get down the mound. So it's sort of just a way to train your lower half. And I also like it as kind of like a activation before I throw. To kind of get my body, not positions, but whatever you want to call it, get my body moving, really.
And it's funny. You see this every year. You saw Yamamoto came on the scene last year. He had the javelin, javelin that he uses. Paul Skeens, Nolan Ryan. I grew up. He was the first guy to use the football with Tom House, and that was cool. And people started doing that. Paul Skeens has that weird thing he puts around the back of his neck and activates his core, I guess. I don't know. For you, what's the weirdest thing you do as a starting pitcher, or maybe something that you want to try?
The core velo belts probably would be the weirdest. Training wise, I mean, I feel like I don't do weighted balls or any other stuff like that, so it's pretty much just stretch in the weight room, get my body moving, core velo belt, and then figure it out from there.
And then go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're obviously known for not just velocity, but sustained velocity throughout the game. How did that develop? I mean, did you know, back in like high school that was something you were able to do, or when did you really realize that even among the most elite players in baseball, you had a special skill for that?
I don't know. I started throwing my sophomore year of high school is when I started throwing mid-90s, but I only really came out of relief a couple times.
Why?
Well, I was starting shortstop, and I guess they were like worried. I was throwing like 80 my freshman year, then I went to start throwing 95, so I think they were like making sure they didn't overuse me kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I would come in close and just throw as hard as I could, and it worked out pretty
fun
good.
for the other sophomores to face you.
Yeah, super fun at 95.
I don't know. I feel like I've always just thrown a certain velocity and maintained it. I've never really felt tired on a field before,
Really? Just you're not.
I felt there. I've had starts where I didn't get any sleep the night before for whatever reason, and I was tired from that. But like physically, I've never felt like I've never really felt tired on field.
So you're a cyborg, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you're like
no.
like half man, half machine. Dylan Cease joins us here on Ben and Woods. I was asking you before we got started, with position players and hitters, they come out, they do their tee work, they get their stuff in. You guys get your throwing in. No. For you, Manny was just talking about how, he's 32 years old. He's had some surgeries, and he's like, I've been in camp 2 weeks, and I'm sore. Like, my body's banged up. I was talking to a buddy recently that played, and he said, it feels like they pour concrete inside your body, like after just a few days back on the field. For you, a pitcher, how hard is it for you to kind of get back in the vibe and not be sore every single day?
It's definitely a process, and another thing is like kind of tapering and learning how to like gradually increase, not just come in and do everything max effort 5 days in a row, because that's how you hurt yourself.
Yeah.
To me, it's more like there's a lot of stiffness, a lot of little aches and pains, but I've never had anything where it's like, I can't move, or it's just sort of like a nuisance, really, because you want to feel, as an athlete, we're used to feeling powerful and flexible and athletic and all that. And a lot of times during spring, it's like you'll go through a week where you're like, man, I don't feel like I could jump 4 inches off the ground right now. That's how heavy my body is. But that's part of it.
It comes with the territory.
It makes sense too. It's like you're especially with throwing, it's not exactly the most natural thing to do. So we're having to both build up our velocity, our strength, and then we're having to work on the skill side of it as well. So it's really, spring training is obviously very, very important.
Well, it's fun too for the pitchers, and they talk about it every year. You guys come in and you were seeing some. I saw some velos posted the other day of guys throwing 101, 99, and it's February 25th at the time.
Yeah,
these hitters are not ready. They're not ready for that. There's no way to really train for that.
Yeah, they're
in the
definitely not.
off-season.
They're not mid-season form.
Fun for you guys. Get your heads right.
Yeah,
being dominant early, does that help you when the season comes?
I mean, yeah, if you go out and strike everyone out, you're going to be feeling good. But I feel like it's more about the buildup and executing pitches, because if you face guys and they're, maybe they're younger minor league guys or something, and you're bouncing, breaking stuff, and you're getting strikeouts where in the big leagues you wouldn't get that, then it's like, I guess that could be a false thing. But no, it's more about, I think for me, hitting all my markers, where my velocity is, the shapes of things, is it sharp, stuff like that.
Talking to Dylan Cease here on 97.3 The Fan. And in a way, Dylan, you kept the entire baseball insider industry afloat this offseason.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wake up every single day.
Last two.
John Heyman and Ken Rosenthal tweets, and Jeff Bass. Hey, the Mets have called. The Boston Red Sox are talking to H.A. Preller about Dylan Cease.
We worried sick, man. That's what we were.
How do you handle that? I mean, in some ways, it's a compliment, obviously, but it also brings a lot of uncertainty into the equation. What has this offseason been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I usually just I feel my best when I just focus on what I have to do to prepare. Because at the end of the day, I want to be a good player, and I want to execute pitches, and I want to win. So focusing on all that stuff is sort of irrelevant. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be playing baseball. And, yeah, maybe there's a question of where, but I guess I feel grateful to be with the Padres. So it's like there's not any hard feelings. I'm just happy to be here. And if they trade me, then I go somewhere else and I give them all there. Really, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good perspective to have, and probably one that comes with time. Time in the big leagues and being around other guys that this has happened to. You've seen guys traded out from under the team that you were on before, and of course you've been through it. And
it's a business; it's a part of it.
It is,
it's
man.
It's nothing personal. It's the GMs have to build the best team with what they got, and
and you guys have to get paid what you're worth at the end of the day. I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword, and going into. Let me ask you: Does it change anything? I mean, you've got a year left here in San Diego at a minimum. I'm assuming it doesn't change any. Like, you still want to go out and have the best season because, yeah, man, the big payday could be coming, and it is coming if you stay healthy.
Yeah.
Are you more? How hard is it to not be like, well, I probably shouldn't go balls to the wall here. I'm hitting free agency or whatever, and that's something you've earned. Certainly by having a long career. How difficult is that to kind of adjust mentally?
I mean, I haven't got to that point where I'm thinking like that yet. That would be like the only scenario I think that would enter my mind is if I have some sort of nagging injury that just won't go away or something.
Yeah.
It's but for the most part, I mean, I want to take the ball as much as I can, and I don't really let my foot off the gas. So I guess at the end of the day, it's like my mindset's probably, if it's meant to be, it'll be. If not, at least I gave everything I had, sort of mindset.
I love that.
It's the least that I can make it about me. I feel like the more pleasant the experience will be. The more I make it about me and how much money am I going to get and blah blah blah. And you start focusing on the wrong things, and you start being a bad teammate or whatever. And it's I don't know. It's not what baseball's really about. Obviously, the financial part of it's very important. The money part of it's important. I take it serious and important. But that's why I train and do different things to prepare and put myself in a good position. So hopefully if I take care of business, then someone will take care of me eventually.
Yeah.
Last thing for me, Dylan, before the show's about to wrap up, but given the perspective now of a few months of how the season ended, you hear a lot of fans will say, oh, Mike Schultz shouldn't have started Dylan Cease or asked him to go on 3 days rest. And we'll never really know, did that have an impact? What now that you've had some time to digest it, though, like, that start, the 3 days rest thing, was it a big difference for you?
I mean, honestly, that was the best the ball came out of my hand. I feel like in months, really. I mean, I was sitting 99.
Stupid game, man. It's the dumbest game.
It is. I felt so. Game one, I didn't have a good feel where the ball was going. I really feel like command was my biggest issue there. The 3 days rest, I feel like I was pretty good stuff wise and pretty good, command wise. So I think sometimes you just get beat, honestly, and then I don't regret it. I mean, I felt good. If I was going out there throwing 92 and huffing and puffing, it would be different. But I felt great. The stuff was great. It just didn't work out.
So Dylan Cease going to be starting on 3 days rest most of this season now. Going to
I don't
get
know about that.
45, maybe 45 starts this year for you. Sounds good.
270 innings.
I'm under contract. We'll do what you guys want.
Exactly. Yeah, sign me up, man. That's like I tell my boss. You sign me to a lifetime
Do whatever
deal.
you want.
You own me. You got
Almost whatever you want.
Almost whatever you want.
Well, Dylan, we're glad you're still here. We're looking forward to the
Thank
start
you.
of the season, and thank you so much for sitting down with us for a couple of minutes.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, Dylan Cease, Padres starting pitcher, part of what is a formidable-looking starting rotation for the San Diego Padres. Here in camp, a little news here. We just heard from Mike Schilt. Fernando Tatis Jr. is expected to make his Cactus League debut tomorrow. Going to have a pretty regular lineup for tomorrow night's game here at the Peoria Sports Complex. So it's good to see everyone getting a little healthier. We had Michael King on earlier who had the flu. He's feeling much better. Luis Campusano's back. So they're kind of rounding into shape here. And we're still almost, 4 weeks away from, I think 4 weeks from today is opening day.
Is that right?
Yeah, 4 weeks from today.
Mama.
Is opening day for the San Diego Padres. So there's still a lot of time to pass and a lot of work to be done, but they're making their progress and moving along.
Love it. I love that perspective, man. I mean, those some pointed questions a little bit, right? And I love that perspective from Dylan Cease, talking about being a good teammate, how important that is.
All right, we've got some work. We've got some work to do because tomorrow, as I just mentioned, because they have a night game tomorrow, so it's going to be a little bit quieter here. So we're going to try to get some more interviews after the show today, including, I believe, Nick Pivetta is one that we're expecting to talk to here in a little bit. So you can expect some of those on our final morning here before we head back out to San Diego. But it'll be a little bit quieter here tomorrow.
Great day today. Today. Star-studded. I love it.
Two fantastic days in a row. Honestly, anything after this is just gravy.
100%
at this point. Yeah. We have really had a sensational first couple of days.
I'm trying to think of who else is out there that we haven't talked to already.
There's a few names I still want to grab, certainly, and we'll try to make that happen. But I just don't know, man. I don't know how tomorrow's going to go. We'll figure it out.
It's going to be a fun experiment.
We'll get some in the can, and hopefully something crazy happens to us tonight. You is shoving over there, by the way.
He gets a lot of attention over there. A little final business. We didn't get to Don't Do This, but it is brought to you by Trust and Will. Don't leave your entire estate, house, and kids' life savings up to chance if and when you die. Do set up a Trust or Will online at trustandwill.com. It's a lot more affordable than you think. Visit trustandwill.com for more info. And this hour of Ben and Woods has been brought to you by Robert Half. 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is there to help. They're recruiting professionals utilizing award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today. Yeah, a little unusual in our formats for the shows.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got to play things by ear
Play
when
by
we're
ear,
out
buddy.
here, but that's the fun part of it. One more day from Peoria, Arizona coming up tomorrow. Thanks to Frank back in the studios. Again, all the Padres PR staff here has been great. For Woodsy and Paulie, I'm Ben. Annie and Elston coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan. Have a great rest of your Thursday.